Michael J. Nelson here. This is 372 pages we'll never get back. Conor Listoka is here as well. Welcome into the show, all of you. It is a show, right?
Oh, I mean, the greatest show
dancing,
on earth. Yeah.
Singing.
Yes.
Animals.
Spangles, twirling.
I believe there's numerous times we've referenced chimps roller skating and smoking cigars. I feel like that's a show in itself.
It's like Al Hirschfeld and Nina, in every cartoon. We try to have chimps roller skating in every single episode we've done here.
People often point out to us the things that we've said more than once. Look, people, there's a lot of episodes. I only have so many things in my head. Most of them are roller skating chimps. Let's just be honest about it.
If people are going to quibble about roller skating chimps in every episode, you have to acknowledge that you've had absolutely insane stories about your childhood in most of these episodes as well that vary in, that I'm hearing for the first time in knowing you for 18 years. So
yeah. All right. I just feel like we should make an entire episode out of us meeting Whiplash, the cowboy monkey who rides the terrier, what is it? A sheepdog, right?
Is it an Australian Shepherd?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. Those super smart dogs. The ones who, like, when you point, they look at the place you're pointing. You're like, wow, you're smart.
Wouldn't it be like one of those videos of Kristen Bell meeting a sloth where she's just weeping, or a person hearing for the first time with their implants and just starts crying? Us meeting Whiplash, just I'm so happy.
And we'd put on there, wait for the end, have a laugh.
Yeah, wait for the end, which is, trying to kiss Whiplash and he claws our eyes out.
All right, anyway, no, we're in the middle.
Oh,
this is the Bad Book Podcast, and we are on the last reading of William Shatner and Ron Goulart's Tek Kill, which is number 6 in the series.
I think it's 8 out of a nonology, so second to last for now.
There's one after it, yes. Okay.
Shatner could try to do. He could keep the series going without Goulart. Like the Velvet Underground made an album called Squeeze after Lou Reed left. The people were like, we didn't let it die. But yeah, that'd be great. That was Shatner's, 95th birthday present to himself, was doing, tech Bitcoin or something.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to, I believe, Mahler's 10th Symphony was actually written by Derek Cook. And a lot of controversy around that. And so I think it's very similar to that. If it happened, there'd be a lot of... Well, he left all of his notes and everything. It's basically done. I'm just sort of stitching it together.
That's what happened with the Hitchhikers series, too. A guy did those for Douglas Adams. And I just don't let a guy named Derek continue writing your symphonies, I would say. You got to find another guy with a Brahms or Bach kind of name.
And he's in his grave going, I'm dead, I can't do anything. Stop it, Derek.
Yes. So this is the final episode of Tek Kill, and I guess we should catch people up with what's going on so far if you're just joining us for the first time here. It's the future. It's like the 2080s probably, or like the 2019s. And there is a pharmaceutical company run by a twin brother and sister who are going to try to manufacture tech under the guise of manufacturing like a tech methadone, a substance that was better for you that will help get you off tech.
I mean, essentially, are they targeting like the opioid industry here back in? I don't remember when the crisis began, but it seems to be like, hey man, it seems like making a safe version of this, but they're faking it, of course. The twins, which, by the way, the twins does not come into it at all. They're just brothers and sisters. The fact that they're twins, that's a bugaboo for me. Why do you mention that they're twins? Who cares?
Right.
Story-wise, it means nothing.
There was one thing they said where he's like, you know what they say, dear sister, that if one twin feels pain, the other one will too, and then it just moves on with the thing. But so they're doing that. Jake is investigating it at their factory in the Caribbean, where the evil twin, has imprisoned his sister in like a room where they're going to like wipe her mind.
Yes. Mind wipes.
Also, Jake's son, who's also a police academy enrollee, has been imprisoned in Mississippi at a forced labor camp where he is also going to have his mind wiped. And so they're going to try to rescue him. They're going to try to rescue the sister. And we can get into it later, but if those plots sound relatively similar and redundant, you wouldn't be alone in noticing that.
Real quick, what's his name is what is it? Walt Wiener, Jim Wiener,
Hank Wiener.
Hank Wiener. What's his roommate's name, Connor?
His roommate's name is a young boy named Ogden.
Oh, okay. Interesting. What is it again? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Ogden. And Ogden
okay.
might have something else related to another character happen to him in this book as well.
Okay.
Another beloved character whose name has become a verb might be Ogden might be getting what happened to her, I'd say.
Okay.
And I'm not referring to how they make them use the bathroom in the labor camp.
I forgot about the fact that he did. Well, all right. We'll get to it when we get to it. All right.
So
a lot of fun stuff.
And so I think this started with Gomez also being in Texas. There were some metallic cowboys and such. I think that's where this one picks him, is that Gomez is down in, I don't know where, Bluebell, Texas, something like that.
Sweetwater, I think?
Sweetwater, Texas. And he is rescuing Marnie, a former stripper, but also a Annie Oakley type wild gun show character.
Which is crazy. Well, I'll have that question coming up. She is human, right?
She's
a stripper. It's just the way she talks makes me kind of go wait, what?
Well, if you're going to object to the ways characters talk in here, this is not the book for if you want people to talk the way that they would actually be in real life.
It just seems odd as all. Okay.
Well, I think it starts with Gomez. Here's how it starts. Gomez is still trying to extract Marnie and himself from this with a guy that they're trying to kidnap whose name is Moyak. They're looking for Moyak down here because he is the one who can testify that the footage of the detective agency murdering someone was faked.
Yes.
That's the goal here. That sort of seems lost in this whole thing because there are all these other plots of kidnapping and extraction. But deep at the heart of this, the mystery, if you want to call it that, started when Walt Bascom was framed for the murder of Dwight Grossman in a video that everyone pretty much acknowledges has probably been faked, but they're still sort of going through with the charade of arresting him and saying that he's wanted for the murder.
And now we have to fly to distant countries and really we'll get to a very Byzantine way to ship a human being back to LA. That is a strange one, but it's all this guy Avram Moyak, and he fakes stuff. And I guess there's only one guy who fakes stuff.
Nobody fakes it like Moyak fakes it. That's for sure. Yeah, Avram Moyak, who sounds like a peripheral guy in Godfather 2 or something when they go out to Vegas, maybe.
Yeah, yes. My name is Avram Moyak. I'm a pensioner. I live on my pension. Let my wife make you a sandwich, please. I love baseball.
Oh. It's been a while since I've revisited Godfather 2. I'll assume that's exactly a character there.
It is. It's the character who's the whole linchpin for the whole Godfather 2.
Like many of these movies, I saw it once in high school and have not seen it as a.
You haven't seen Godfather 2?
I've never seen Godfather. I'm going to be the guy who's never seen Godfather 3, and that's my whole personality. I don't know. A lot of people have seen it, but I've never seen Godfather 3.
You guys keep talking about an offer you can't refuse. I don't know what that means. I don't have no idea.
Must be from Godfather 3. Huh.
All right. So in media res, we're in Mexico. We're in they're breaking into
Texas still. Yeah.
We're in Texas.
Right. But it's a robot that says amigo, so Gomez infers that it must be a Mexican bot.
Yes. And this is where we get the first, this is the sentence construction that has plagued us in this series, but here it comes again. We're at an action moment, and you'll hear. Gomez caught him bicycling back as the full weight of the guard bot hit him. This isn't, Chiquita, the stealthy entry into Moyak's lair that I had in mind. Look, we're in the middle of an action scene, could you just speak like a normal human being and not insert things parenthetically into it? For God's sake.
Oh, yeah, that's full Goulart. Because we're left to wonder what the action of bicycling back when you're holding a guard bot could look like. But then you're inserting a proper name that's a Spanish slang term in the middle of your sentence as you're doing that. So it's really the royal sampler for Ron Goulart there.
So if you were, let's say you accidentally got, I set my hair on fire. Whoa, I was trying to check my lighter and my hair's on fire. Like, me, amigo, help! Like, what? I think I was pretty clear. What? Dude, you're getting tackled by a robot. I assume, sorry, the full weight of a guard bot? What are you assuming the weight?
I assume these are all Android type things, so they're got to be if not heavier than a human.
Yeah, I don't think we're down to Westworld weight yet, right?
It's not one of those little mousy things that go along the interior of the Death Star either. It's
right. This is a full out bot. Yeah.
I'm getting stabbed by a home intruder. Help, Lauren, me.
She barely listens, takes one ear of the headphone off. Are you talking to me?
Not if
you have to come into the room. I can't hear you when you're out there. I'm near the washing machine. I can't hear you.
It's for the best if you're going to talk to me like this. Does the intruder talk like that? Because we'll just swap him in for you.
She hears light stabbing noises. She's like,
She mutters Chihuahua. And
I will not investigate.
So he
investigate not. Chiquita.
Gomez is bicycling. It immediately cuts to Jake, where he's going to talk to. I think he's still in the Caribbean. Who knows? He's getting a phone call from Molly, and which is Jake's his son's girlfriend, his son Dan's girlfriend, and you get this very annoying Goulardism. Molly took a breath and brought a plyo chief up to her nose.
My note on that is just, this is trolling, right? We're not still doing this.
Yeah.
Is this just like, how much can you put up with? Like, what are you going to do about this? Kind of the author going like, huh? What are you going to do? You stop reading? No, you got to find out whether Avram Moyak gets back to GLA.
Yeah, if you're editing the Tech War wiki, you make an entry for plyo chief? Is that going to be, is that when you question what has brought you to this point? Like when you're like, a plyo chief was a handkerchief in the Tech War universe. It appeared in Tek Kill once. Yeah.
Which makes you wonder about the hand kerchief. So someone pulled out, they had a kerchief, which is like the size of a bath towel, and they were like sneezing into that, and someone's like, do you have to bring your kerchief? I'm going to invent a thing that you could just hold in one hand. I'm going to call it the hand kerchief.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that person was probably frustrating people back in his day as well.
Oh, hang on. Achoo! Where are you going to put that now? My pantaloons are so huge. You have no idea.
But what is so plyo? Or are we just not even try to suss out what that means in this sense?
I don't think so. It's not.
Okay, good. Yeah.
It's not plastic, right? I can't. Who cares?
Then we get into something that happens in this book over a lot, and I think we pointed it out last time, but it keeps happening in this thing, which is that a character will address another character who is not caught up on the action and will fill them in on plot points that we, the reader, already know. Mm-hmm. So Molly calls and she describes what has happened to Jake because she got this vision from Sue Grossman. So we've seen this happen to Jake. We've seen him wake up in a camp as Hank Wiener. Then Sue Grossman has a vision of Jake waking up in the camp. She doesn't know that he's Hank Wiener. She then relays that to Molly, and then Molly describes it to Jake. So it's like a game of telephone here, but we're forced to sort of read this over and over again. All details we know, nothing is being added, or there's no misinformation being added in that we are then like, oh, but she doesn't know this. It's purely just telling someone else the plot.
It's not Rashomon, like different perspectives. It's not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Well, this is John's version. No, this is just, here it is again. Yeah. Remember this? Yeah, I remember trying to struggle through this the first time.
And so that will continue to happen. And it's just, it's a 55,000 word book. It certainly didn't need any maybe it did need padding, but it would be easily sufficed by after Molly had related him, Jake's situation,
exactly.
Dan's situation. Jake said, "Well, how are we going to get him out of here?" The only thing I thought was funny about this one is that she's, talking. She says he's been relocated to the Junior Workers of America Camp Number 30, and Jake says, "Jesus, those camps are pest holes." So that's how, if you're ever reading about, some of Stalin's labor camps, I think that pest hole would be the real way to...
the Gulag Archipelago. Wow, what a bunch of pest holes those are, huh? A day in the life of Ivan Denisovich. Holy cow. I'm bothered by that.
And so, they say that, I hope that your uncle who's a lawyer is going to be able to, help you stay out of stay out of the pokey. I thought that was sort of a Donald J. Sobelian dialogue as well. Bugs mean he wanted encyclopedia hauled off to the pokey.
But people in the future, look, again, they're just like, yep, we know what that is. We still call it that. That is true. All right. So now we get to it.
Yeah.
Avram Moyak.
Oh, boy.
What does he look like?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because he's introduced thusly. Avram Moyak was neither tall nor thin. So in a book where I think more than half the characters were described as either plump or stocky, I guess he used up his allotment of both those words. So he's neither tall nor thin.
Okay, so I'm trying to picture that. He was neither. All right, those are the things I'm ruling out. And then a clue a little later. This is him quoting. In college, out in greater Los Angeles, GLA, please, by
sure.
this time.
Please.
The chubby, bearded man told her, all right. And then he says, I had the idea you didn't much like me.
Right.
The chubby, bearded man said. Then, a couple sentences later, do you have that in your mind? Have you cemented that? Neither chubby, tall nor thin,
bearded
chubby,
man, yes.
bearded man.
I've been to Comic-Con. I do have that in my mind.
All right, here we go. She ran her fingers through his long blonde hair, ruffling it, and moved slowly nearer and nearer. So, what... I don't know. Paul Williams,
Fabio Locks. Yeah, I think it's like one of those scenes where it's like they cut to what Jonah Hill or Jason Alexander looked like in high school or something, and to make it funny, they now they're bald in real life, but then back then they had long flowing locks of
yes.
luxuriant hair or something.
So this is his tech vision of himself.
Dream. Yeah,
but still. Is the hair real? Like still?
Oh, good point. Yeah, I guess that's the.
I played it out as though it was because it never really says.
Sure. Yep. For the rest of the thing, I guess we've got to assume that he's got the.
Well, who are we thinking of? Like Axl Rose? Like
that's why that popped into my mind. Yeah, strawberry blonde,
sort of shaggy. I'm sure there's a lot of. He probably doesn't spray it because she ran her fingers through the long blonde hair.
No,
so
it's not silky and luxuriant.
Yeah, it's not a hairband of the '80s or something like that. So okay.
And it does say he measured under 5'4" and weighed something over 200 pounds. So that's the Penguin-esque, I would say.
That's more than chubby, right?
That's a
I think
waddler,
if you went to the doctor, they'd say you are, clinically obese.
And then he would just toss his hair, and the doctor would be like, "I apologize, sir."
Wait 1 second. Takes his glasses off.
And then Gomez shows up in the vision. He takes the helmet off him and is like, get in the car type of thing. He does need Marnie to interrupt it by firing a robot, I think, or maybe he stuns. Yeah, she stuns a robot and then says, "My shooting has been top notch this evening. This current lunkhead yonder makes my score 3 human beings, 1 bot, and 1 android so far."
So this is a real person saying things like, "Let us skedaddle, darling." We got to vacate this joint. Okay.
Sure.
She's from Texas.
Sure. Did Lunkhead come up a lot in Bridge to Bat City? I'm not sure. Then again, know. Austin was a pretty weird place, so who's to say?
Wait, here's another. I'm sorry, I wrote down another. Darn sake. Oh, did you just do that? My shooting's been top notch?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just did that.
I didn't say darn sakes, my shooting been top notch. You just said this current Lunkhead. Sorry.
Yes. Yep. Let's haul Moyak someplace. And let's get somewhere where nobody can kill me graveyard dead. That's the last sentence in the chapter.
That's like the uncle from the Sussy book, the Sam Elliott guy, kind of. I'm going to kill me graveyard dead, me-ho.
Yep. Well, I'm currently upright and conscious, so better than dead, I guess.
Yeah, better than a coyote nosing your rear end while you're taking a sauna. That's what I always say.
Were you a football coach like 10 years ago? You're darn tootin' I am, and if you ain't giving 110%, you're giving a 100% minus. What?
What, coach? What?
Coach?
Kind of lost the trail there. That's... that's the CTE speaking. That's
do not
play this sport.
Don't CAT scan my brain. Oh my God.
So that's the end of the chapter. It cuts to Jake, who then I think talks to his boss, Walt Bascom, about various off-screen characters. They sort of fill each other in on more details. As you need in the final quarter of a book, you need characters to refresh people about what we've already read. It is sort of helpful when we take time between these books. We had a lengthy, period between our first and second episode here. Sometimes in that rare situation, it might help you. But for anyone who's reading this book like a normal person, it must be very frustrating.
And this is where they say, I have only one note in chapter 33, very small. The chubby, long-haired blonde guy. I'm still calling him. He's long hair. I don't care. He still has it. I can arrange to have Senor Moyak shipped very unobtrusively up to Greater L.A. and into the arms of the Cosmos Detective Agency. Who does? I have a friend coming over tomorrow. He doesn't know it. I'm going to ship him unobtrusively to Greater. So who do I use?
Yeah.
Which service will let you do that? Where they don't ask any questions like, wow, this box is very large and human-like. Like, yep, what are you going to do?
Is that what DHL does? No one uses DHL, right? That could be how they're operating this whole, you got UPS and FedEx for your real shipping, and then DHL is like, oh, yeah, that's what we do. We unobtrusively ship humans to places they don't want to be.
You buy something.
No one ever bothered to come in here.
I want to buy a long-haired blonde guy, and I go on eBay, and then all of a sudden I get a DHL tracking number. It's like, oh, God, he's in China. They
don't know my gate code. They won't come in here.
Yes.
They only accept Discover, too. What are you trying to just... use that?
Oh, they leave it by the place where the garbage things are stacked, and then you go check there. You're like, why is my package over here? They have a photo of it. DHL, what are you doing?
Look, you want a human? You find another place to ship it. You're off the DHL list now.
I ask no questions. All right, so they're going to DHL ship Senior Moyak up to Greater LA.
And they emphasize here, which I had sort of forgotten, they in turn will persuade him to repeat the story he told me about rigging the Bascom sec tapes. So Gomez used a true disc, I guess, to get Moyak to confess about that he was the guy who deep-faked the Walt Bascom things.
Yes.
Which I guess that was the mystery they're solving here. There's so much just happening in this book that that is, I guess, the MacGuffin of this whole thing, but it doesn't really seem to matter. Because, as we said before, everyone knows they were faked from the beginning. They were just sort of like, but what are you going to do?
Well, you mentioned Sobel. I think it's Sobel-esque. We'll have a whole chapter and then realize, that was completely meaningless to the story.
That was just color.
Yeah, that was just what if we did this?
Okay. Yeah. That's what Gomez dressing as a clown or, doing that. That was all Sobelian to lead up to the, squirrel coming down the tree backwards. That's, I bet they hung out. They probably had their own little, Algonquin round table going on.
Oh, your favorite.
But this chapter ends. They're taken off with with Moyak, I guess. Are they in a food truck now? Yes, they're in the Tex-Mex catering truck. And that is how they're getting out of here. Moyak is in pantry number 2 in a crate. And then it ends with 2 big black sky vans coming up on their tail. So they're being chased.
So the Tex-Mex catering has nothing to do with foods?
Yes, correct. That is another repeated beat.
Okay.
Jake and Casey Bascom have agreed to sneak into the Evil Twins casino by sneaking into the foods catering van. So completely different.
So food truck sneaking people is a theme Goulart very much enjoys.
Then Jake is flying to Yazoo, Mississippi to arrange a meeting with an attorney named Krishnovic. So your standard, simple country lawyer with suspenders, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Toweling his forehead off.
Seersucker suit. And now I haven't been around a long time. Pulling his glasses off and pointing at members of the... this is the first mention of him, though, right?
Yes. I think that Walt Baskin was like, I'm going to hook you up with some locals down in Mississippi who can help you.
Because he's going there. He's just going to rescue his son from Sector 30 of the Junior Workers of America or whatever, right?
Yes.
And to do that, he needs to meet with attorney Krishnovic?
But
Krishovnik, sorry.
Krishovnik, yeah. So it's like, I'm but a simple country lawyer here. Now, I don't know, my ass from biscuit and ground, but I can tell you, I don't go up to
Russia, they lawyer you. All right, Krishovnik.
That's our new character, the simple country Russian lawyer. But it is, to get ahead of it, it is, do you know what, in a video game, what a fetch quest is?
I do not.
It's just like, it's a side. It's a side thing. You go and the character's like, I have this harp, but I need my egg back. And you're like, okay, well, I found a guy who was missing his harp earlier, so I've got to go and give him the harp. He'll give me, the music box, and I go take that to the widow. It just, you go and do that. The attorney is not who ends up helping him here. He meets another guy who then gets a posse together, which is not this attorney.
Yes.
The attorney is like a guy who connects him to that guy. So it's incredibly frustrating that we get a whole chapter here of him like having to take like a blood test and do a retinal scan just to meet this attorney who will then introduce him to someone else. It's like, why didn't Bascom introduce him to the other guy?
And I'm not seeing, maybe it was just supposed to be color, and I'm not seeing a lot of color with attorney Krishovnik because I think he's soon overshadowed. So he's meeting with him, and then Krishovnik says, hot-headed as advertised. A large, frizzy-haired man of about 50 had entered through a side door. He wore a polka-dot sin-silk robe, and the part of his broad chest that showed was thick and with fuzzy grayish hair. You should have learned by now, Tovarich, that your fiery temper doesn't gain you anything. What is going on here?
That's been your takeaway about Jake Cardigan, is his short fuse and his red hot temper throughout this whole book, as he's sort of passively been advised on the whereabouts of his son and occasionally jumped through a doorway.
Polka dot sin silk robe?
He's
his chest showing thick fuzzy grayish hair?
Elliot Gould in Ocean's 11, maybe?
I guess. Anyway, that's the color, and that's where we're supposed to go like, all right, that's why we brought in this guy for one scene.
So, yeah, it's got frizzy hair with fuzzy chest hair. So he's frizzy and fuzzy. That's like 2/3 of a cartoon bear duo.
Is he wearing the wig that who's the guy, they say his name towards the end, the thug, the enemy, the boss.
The piping-voiced man?
The piping-voiced man.
Sure.
I forget what his name is. We'll find it.
The wig he wore for his workplace photo, you mean?
Yes, he wore a wig with the fuzzy hair.
And then so he says, I happen to be one of the best as well as the sneakiest lawyer in all of the South. And then so they sit and discuss what his options are he's like, I can help you as long as you're, willing to break the law. Like, so.
Mm-hmm. But he does say he describes him as a what you just said the big man. So again, it's a very binary system here that we have.
It's really incredible. Well, then we get the pursuit of Gomez and Marnie by the cars, and so
two
we get
sky cars,
a sort of a Star Warsy, like they can fly now kind of scene from these guys of some quipping as they effortlessly shoot down these two cars because she's the sharpest shooter in the West or in the South, I guess.
I'm going to give you, maybe you have it here, but I just want your response, what you would do. This is an improv scene for you.
Ooh, all right.
I will be playing Marnie.
Okay.
You will be playing Sid Gomez, and I want your honest response to. We're being chased by two black sky cars that obviously mean to take us out of the sky and murder us. And so here I am. I'm Marnie. I'm a stripper who's mostly a sharpshooter. So think Annie Oakley, who looks great with, no clothes on. You're forgetting that I brought most of my collection of guns along with me. I got a couple of powerful las rifles that'll do the job. Your response, please.
How could I have forgotten that you brought most of a collection of powerful rifles? That's an insane thing to quote forget, Marnie. Or is there a gas leak in this? Did our cabin not pressurize as we got up this? Like, the rifles are all right there. It's a large collection of rifles. You made me haul them in. It took like 5 times, and I was like, the guy's going to wake up in the catering truck as I'm hauling most of your las rifles into here. Sorry.
Well, that was close.
Okay.
The correct answer is Chihuahua.
It's been a while. My chops are rusty. I didn't fully, I need to go live as Sid Gomez, like
let that hair
Daniel
move
Day
around,
for a while. Yeah, exactly.
Knuckle that mustache of yours and get back into that character.
Chihuahua, right? Yes.
Chihuahua.
That's the appropriate response.
Wait, you brought a collection of guns? Like, we've been together the entire time. How did you do this?
You're forgetting that most of the collection. Yeah.
All right, so that's what so they do a thing where they do a Top Gun spin around and she shoots, right?
Right, she opens a window on the car a few inches. So again, I don't know how that affects the cabin pressure of these things. Maybe they're not high enough that you need to do that. And then she shoots it down with no real issues. It says considerable sooty smoke came swirling out after a moment. The van commenced wobbling and shimmying. It dropped rapidly towards the van below. And so she's just bing bang, sends Porkins suddenly it's crashing down in a fiery explosion.
And in case you're wondering, okay, what are they doing again? They Sid, thank you, after knuckling a misty mustache, says, should you ever need a testimonial to your abilities as a shooting whiz, offered Gomez, call upon me, Marnie. And now, on to Mexico. And again, I think shipping rates for DHL are just cheaper in Mexico if you just go down there. Like, it's like registering your car if you're in California, but you live north. Like, just go to Oregon and just register your car there because it's just way cheaper.
We just got to fly a different flag on this sky car as we land in Mexico. We fly the flag of Ivory Coast or something, so that'll make it easier to pay these tariffs. I forget why they're going to Mexico, however, because obviously
that's the route through which then they go to a shady cousin.
The fetch quest, is taking them to Mexico.
Yes, like can you help me ship a blonde-haired, fat, chubby guy to L.A.? Like, we hear that all the time. What are you talking about? Of course, pull in, please. Bring your sky van.
Yeah, he pulls the cord on the sign that says "fat, blonde-haired shipping."
Yes.
So then we get down to the bad guys back in the Caribbean. Roland Burden, aka Rollo. We just did a movie with a character, a 12-year-old boy named Rollo.
Yeah.
Remember Little Lost Sea Serpent? That was you don't meet a lot of Rollos these days.
Rollo he was an odd one, yeah.
Holding the little the precious bundle of joy, be like, you know what, honey, let's go with Rollo for this.
Call him Rollo. He is showing his evilness by reaching into the pocket of his jacket. Burden slid out a model of Newtown Pharmaceuticals' newest mood mist dispenser, camel caps there. Very depressing night, he observed, as he inserted the plas barrel between his teeth. Like before, he was like jabbing himself with a gun, right?
Yeah, Now he's got mood banaka.
This just seems like way more market ready. I think people are much more prepared to just like, oh, and now I'm happy? Yeah, I'll do this. Well, we have another product maybe you should look at. You jam the needle deeply into your ass or your thigh. You got to hit some fat and, oh, God, can I just puff on it? Well, of course you can, but did I tell you that this is in a gun shape?
It does seem like something you'd see an ad for during like the Major League Baseball playoffs where it's like, now no injection required. I can improve my mood with the easy mist. And if you're watching it not having to take the medication, you're like, what the hell did you have to do before? Oh, a gun in your ass? Jeez. Yeah, this sounds like a better deal. I'm glad I don't have to take it regardless, but still, they've made big advancements here.
Remember when it was a tube inserted right into your pancreas? Well, now it's just a mist that you breathe in with a refreshing berry flavor. Like, yeah, okay, sign me up. I'm done.
Right. But it's like it's meant to show that he's getting high on his own supply. Yes. He's addicted to this thing. Yeah. And then what does he do on this in this good mood? He settles into his armchair, picks up the Vox selector, and then he's doing, the evil. Who's an evil guy? It's like, does Jeremy Irons in Die Hard 3 like put on, classical music and sort of conduct around his room? Who pioneered that?
It's hard to say. What was that movie we did that was really, it was like, there was claymation and it was filmed over 20 years.
Oh, God,
and the guy,
yeah.
He danced around like to something on a phonograph.
Yes, exactly.
As he did like evil stuff. Or
oh dear, what can the matter be?
Or American Psycho to, 80s stuff
Collins,
as you do something evil. This is him, but what is his thing? He says, he's like old King Cole. He's like, all right, bring me very popular scenes from Shakespeare. No deep cuts at all. I want nothing but the actual quotes of the... So what is he doing? So he's starting in the middle of King Lear is like his first... Yeah, he's got some entertainment.
He's got Shakespeare on random on his Sonos vision. Essentially what Chewbacca's dad uses to watch Diane Carroll do sort of a horny dance in the Star Wars Holiday Special. But yeah, he just calls up Shakespeare scenes at random. Or he just says Shakespeare, and then they start showing him scenes. And what's the first one? A Hamlet scene.
Yes.
Do you know which scene this is? I don't know it well enough.
He says, "Oh, but this too sullied flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew, or that the everlasting are not fixed." His Hamlet realized Burden, like, oh God. The 8th grader next to him is like, I said that. You heard me say it. He said it like at the same time that I saw it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you call for Shakespeare, then you get annoyed when they put Hamlet on. It's like, play me some Baja, man. Who let the dogs out? Well, come on now.
Flip to the B-side, please.
And then they call up a scene from King Lear, and he gets upset with that. King Lear, that's your idea of cheerful? Well, you didn't say cheerful. You said Shakespeare.
And then he says the king faded away, and then a trio of gnarled witches replaced him. And if you don't even have to read ahead. When shall we three meet again in thunder, lightning, or in rain? Get them out of here, ordered Burden. Like, you're the one who programmed your own Shakespeare theme.
Yeah. The algorithm is favoring your favorite things. Like, these are ones you've already played.
You clicked hard on that many times.
And then it sort of yada yadas over scenes from Merchant of Venice, Twelfth Night, and Othello.
Ugh. That part did not amuse me. How much did you laugh at this joke came back again? I thought we had hit the magic 3 on this joke, but no, we're going for 4. The magic 4, which I didn't know was a thing. Dr. Stoltzer's delayed, but he sent me in his place. My name is Derek. Another Derek comes up again. Same spelling, I think. Huh. Cook. That's Deryk. Ha ha ha. What? what? I don't get what the spelling the names of the androids has. I don't know what it does. What is it doing?
Because we had Alan and Evelyn. I don't remember what the third one was.
Yes,
but yeah, in a movie, would it if characters always reacted the same to it, no matter who they were, would that be amusing? I
don't know what circumstances this would be amusing is. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, yeah, if you were going for it now, or like, my name is Derek, Derek, like, oh, huh, like a twist. At least it would be a twist on it, and not. It still would not be funny. However, it would just make you at least acknowledge that something had happened. Let's move past it.
Yes.
And then so Derek is there because he wants to mind wipe his sister. But then they cut back to Mexico, where Marnie is coming out. She's wearing a wig, and she's like, I needed to disguise my look. Maybe you need to disguise your look by getting rid of your mustache, Gomez. And he says, I'll keep it. Perhaps because he would have nothing misty to knuckle if he were shaving off his mustache. And then...
are you going to get to the clear homage to the star of Point Break?
Oh, no, let's do it.
It's not exactly a foolproof disguise, Chiquita, referring to her wig, I think, but it does alter your appearance some. He was in the process of stowing the still unconscious Aramoyak, so blonde hair was spilling everywhere, in a large neowood crate labeled Red Hot Peppers. I think that's a clear homage to Anthony Kiedis, star of Point Break.
We're putting Moyak in the crate now.
The blonde hair spilling all over everywhere.
I once dated a 14-year-old girl now.
I bragged about it in a book that I wrote now. Still a felony in all 50 states, yeah.
Look that up, folks. That's if you're out there still being a fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers in 2024. I mean, perhaps nothing will convince you otherwise, but that's one to that's one, and it's not even alleged. It's in his own biography.
Yeah, he's telling it.
So they then go to a shopping mall that has dozens of casinos and saloons to pull into one. I forget what it's labeled. El Bufon. They meet Raul Martinez. He says, Gomez says, I already phoned to alert you I was coming, Raul. He says, I know, see, but it's been a long time since I've seen you. I'm pleased and excited. And after all, you're my second cousin. I like to do that to relatives as well. Just, you meet them and remind them your exact relation to them. It doesn't make them off-put at all. It makes them feel warm and welcome.
After you're like hugging them and I remember you from this. Like, yes. You do, because we're second cousins. Like, creepy. I did appreciate, by the way, that Mexico was my stereotype of Mexico as they landed. Mm-hmm. Bright, multicolored lights, brassy music, Cantina Mall.
Yep.
El Bufon, Cafetera. Sorry, I gave that a sorry. Cafetera, Ritmo Club, Trabajador.
Trabajador, maybe? Yeah, the
Trabajador?
Workers Bar or something?
Okay. Oh, Trabaja, yes. Okay. Mama Grande, Club Revancha, and Cafe Grania.
Yeah.
But, by the way, his second cousin, is that what you said?
Raul Martinez.
Exclaimed the slim, dark man.
Nice.
Okay, so there you go.
And so Raul works at El Bufon, and inside of his cantina, clowns cavorted on the walls of the small office. The animated mural surrounded Gomez as he sat at the desk using the vid phone. And Marnie, of course, asks, why the hell are clowns crawling all over the damned wall? And then Gomez says, my esteemed cousin's cantina is named El Bufon, so he feels obliged to use buffoons and clowns in the decor. So they're doing the Mr. Woodcat gag with a business at this point in time. You're already Hank Wienering the whole gag, but it's like, is that the way it works? He has a cantina named the Buffoon, so he feels obliged to use buffoons and clowns. He doesn't feel obliged to change it. You can do whatever you want, man. It is your cantina.
We used to go past a place when I was newly married. We would walk down Nicollet Mall in Minneapolis where I worked, and there was a whole art gallery that was clown paintings. And I was like, what is the gag here? But you'd go in and there was a guy, with his arms crossed behind him, hello, and you'd walk around, you're like, oh my God, clowns playing golf in heaven? I want this so much. That'll be $30,000. It was like, this can't be a thing.
Yeah, what are you selling out of the back here?
What is the gag? Like, where the money coming in? Who's laundering this? This can't be. But it was very funny. We'd go in every week. Nice to see you again, sir. Yes, thank you. I'm very interested in this one.
I'll be sending my buyer later today.
I want some buffoons on my wall because I named my house that, and what can I do now? There's nothing I can do.
My cantina is named botulism, so I've just got to have pictures of viruses and parasites and diarrhea all over my walls. What can I do?
I've often wondered, could you open a restaurant and you just call it, we put poop in your food, but then you just make the best food at the lowest prices? Could you overcome the marketing of that? Like, you don't actually do it, but you just call it that.
I think Nathan Fielder would have to be your man for that mission.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, that's no different than, it is slightly different than people being like, Chinese food to go near me is the name of my business. So that's when you search for it, that's what turns up. But
yeah. All right. So the buffoon place, then we cut back to?
I think they vid call Bascom and just say that he fills him in on what's going on with Jake. It's important to do that because it's been maybe 1,000 words since we saw that ourselves as readers. Bascom also rubs a knuckle along the side of his nose.
Homage to Sonic the Hedgehog, maybe, with all the knuckles here?
Yes, it must be. Dan Cardigan is Jake found some very disturbing fan art Dan was doing on his computer at an earlier age, but then he met his girlfriend, Molly, and sorted that all out.
16.3 years old. So Gomez says to Bascom, I'll stick here and see that Marnie gets safely tucked away. Then I'm going to join Jake. Okay. Tell him to expect me. Chapter end.
All right.
That's not very action-y. Tell him to expect me after I tuck Marnie away?
Yeah. So what happens is he says to Marnie, you'll be safe here, because guys are probably looking for you. We're going to ship Moyak in the Red Hot Chili Peppers crate. My cousin's going to do that, Martinez, I think. And then I'm going to go meet Jake in Mississippi to help him extract his son.
Okay.
So that's where the characters are now. We'll never see Marnie again. We will briefly see the cousin and Moyak, and Gomez is they're getting the band back together down in Mississippi.
Okay. So Marnie was just super fun, that the sharpshooting stripper.
Yep, he spun the wheel of characters and it came out with cowgirl and then stripper, and so he was like, there we go.
Okay. All right.
I'm your new partner, Gomez.
Does that bring us to, since he's knuckled the side of his nose.
Yes.
No sign of, that's near where a mustache would be.
Where his misty mustache would be.
Yes. So don't know if there was one there or not.
Then it goes to to Jake, who is now meeting with Mencken, who the lawyer, Krishovnik, has set him up this meeting with Mencken. So pure middlemaning. That's what we want in our book's climax, is meetings to set up other meetings.
And he sets him up with the well-named Herschel Mencken, who he wants to get his son out of a camp. I was like, this is distasteful. It turns out I think it has no relation to that.
Well, who knows? That's
I don't know what
they'll get you out of this camp just like I was in camp. Yeah, you name your character after someone who's going to sound like they're played by Five-ish Finkel. It's not a. It sort of throws me for a loop as being, because he's essentially the cigar chomping head of the A team here. Yeah,
it's Mencken's Marauders.
My organization, Mencken's Marauders, can get anybody out of anywhere. Cardigan. Let me show you the planning room.
Who's the guy you mentioned? What's his name from Ocean's 11 or 12 or 13 or whatever?
Yeah, Elliot Gould.
It could be Elliot Gould. It could be the guy from, any one of the Odd Couple. I don't know. It's this. You haven't heard of Mencken's Marauders?
Exactly.
He does not shy away from that stuff. That's all I'm going to say.
And so Jake's first question to him is, he's like, you want to get my son out of here? Jake says, can you tap the files of the camp? So that's the real hacker talk of 2087 or whatever this is happening. You act like my grandfather when I was setting him up on AOL. But can anyone tap my files? Like, geez, no, that's not something that's going to happen here.
And he joins him. He's like, I'm going to, if you're going to do this mission, I'm with you. And Mencken is like, oh, yeah. No, I know. I looked you up online. I saw you, catching a bass, and I saw you going hiking. You're totally cool with me. No problem. So you get to join me on this marauding expedition, which then comes up later as everyone's like, who's the new guy? But anyway.
Right. The Mencken's Marauders are they're an elite squad. They're above the law. They're always on the run. But sure, we'll just take anyone into our thing. Yeah, it's like the Little Rascals welcoming someone in. You're an honorary woman hater today, right? That's here's a badge.
But he does hack in, and he immediately shows him a picture of him. And Jake looks at it and says, yep, that's Dan. Quote, Wiener Henry, age 16.3. So that's the only gift I think the book has given us, is to mind wipe someone and then call him Hank Wiener.
Sure,
that's pretty good.
And I think it's also an acknowledgement of how low the bar is set here, that we're laughing at the word wiener over and over again as grown men in this book. You got to take it where you can get it. Yeah, I thought, what's his name? Mencken comes in and you're trying to look at their satellite picture of the thing, and it says it was a bit fuzzy, and he whapped it on the head with his heel. I thought that was, that's sort of funny too. But again, the bar is set low to
Instead of saying enhance point. And then he enhanced.
Right. Yeah. But it's also, this is like this is going to be, I guess, sort of the major focus of here. This could have been the whole plot of the book, extracting the sun, especially as they try to introduce a team of ragtag misfits here. It really didn't need to be much else going on here, because
but
this all happens alarmingly quickly.
But it doesn't merge with the main plot at all, right? Which is the people trying to make tech.
No.
Like killing people and framing them for tech. This is just like you said, a side mission to...
Yeah, everything just sort of starts operating in parallel at this point in time. You're trying to destroy these people's tech thing, but also rescue the boy, and the tech thing is now being handled completely by Casey Bascom. Whereas our two main characters are rescuing the son, and that's going to be it for the rest of the book.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, in book 5 or whatever, where he introduced his son, and then it's like then you put a dog in it, and like, what are we going to do with the dog this episode? I don't know. He falls down a well, and we got to go. We got to do something. We introduced him. Like, you can't just have him off screen for the whole thing. So it was like, hey, I'm here, Dad. What do you want me to do? And I'm like, don't get kidnapped by you got kidnapped by the JW.
Sure.
Okay,
I mean, right. To reference it earlier, it is just sort of like, Indiana Jones's lady friend and everyone. You're just going to be, drug off in the back of a truck shouting Indy. And I guess that's probably what happens to this boy a lot.
Yes.
Then we go back to Casey. She is talking to a Monty Folkestone, who's an immense fat chap. I think did you describe him? No, you described him as the Casablanca guy.
Yeah, and then they described he's dressed a little more flamboyantly than
a little more Marlon Brando and Dr. Moreau kind of. I feel.
Yeah, ice bucket on his head, kind of white stuff on his face. But here's a question, and I looked this up, so if you have an answer, I'm ready to hear it, but I did not. When Casey Bascom stepped off the tennis court after winning a match with the San Pellegro Country Club Probot, sorry, that was a mouthful, a large green robot. So Probot, she beat at tennis, and then a large green robot was waiting for her on the simulated mosaic passway. What's a passway?
That's a good question.
I looked it up. There's no such thing as a passway.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I mean, some things are called passways, but it's not. I don't think in any English language, I don't think there's anything called a passway. It may be sort of a technical term like mind the passway in Britain.
Breezeway kind of thing.
But it's not a thing. So a simulated mosaic passway is just him going, we're just going to make up. It's like Plaschiff or whatever.
Sure. Well, honestly, at the end of that sentence, he could have put any word there, and I would my brain would have skipped over it, like I love Paris in the springtime, because, like you said, robot 4 words later, it's too much to process. Your brain just starts compensating and making it so you can filter out the nonsense. This was in fan fiction last week. I believe we both said it was fan fiction because it was so stupid and sloppy, but
I don't even remember that, was it?
Yeah,
okay.
I might be wrong about that.
Okay.
And so she then fills Monty Folkestone, the immense fat chap, in on what the evil twin is doing to, what Roland is doing to Rebecca. So you get a couple pages of her describing the plot that, again, we are all familiar with. So you're hopefully keeping track of how many times that's happened so far. I believe it's the 3rd time a character has filled people in on the plot in this final section.
I have a challenge for you.
Ooh.
There's some coming up, so this is just the first of many. Scale of 1 to 10, how enraged are you by this introduction of Monty Folkestone? Mm-hmm. Monty Folkestone, wearing an ample flowered beach robe and a wide-brimmed sin straw hat, was relaxing in a large and sturdy sling chair. He was sipping a chilled plas flask of upper cola. Just scale of 1 to 10. Enraged?
I'm at a 7. Oh, wait, I noticed that cola is spelled with a K. That's an 8.
I was going to point that out just to add to the... If you were going to deduct a point, I was like, no, upper cola is capitalized, and it's U and K.
And plas flask with a Z. That's not like las gun. That's not normal, right? Plas is typically a PLAS.
That's what I thought. That's why I wondered what a plas flask was.
Well, and a listener also emailed in later to point out that one character's name starts getting spelled wrong towards the end of the book. So I think Goulart was trying to go meet Larry Ellis on the in time for $3 margaritas somewhere. Yes. It was just like type in with one foot out the door.
And the peanuts are free? They're free. You just scoop them into the thing and you throw your shells on the floor. No way. Shut
Larry.
up.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Shut
cheers. Oh, crap. Denise is here. Hey, don't tell her. Don't tell her I grabbed the waitress's butt, man. Okay. And so this the chapter ends with she's saying what her plan is. I'm going to sneak into the casino, and then it ends with she left the fat man sitting there in the hot sun. So yes. You still tip your hat to a classic Goulartian chapter end.
Well, I have a lot to say about that one.
Okay.
She left the fat man sitting in the hot sun. Chapter 37.
Okay.
Jake is now going to join the Raiders, Marauders,
Menken's Marauders,
right? But one of the fiery members of Menken's Marauders says this, and this is very, very soon after the end of that chapter. Looks like they left you out in the sun too long, Jake, commented the thin woman.
Wow.
So I'll read that again. She left the fat man sitting there in the hot sun.
Okay.
Paragraph later, looks like they left you in the sun too long, Jake, commented the thin woman.
Wow.
What is he doing? What is happening here?
An inverse of the sentences.
Where's the editor? Going like, if this is supposed to be connected, tell me what the connection is.
Yeah.
Are people supposed to go like, oh, cool, in the last chapter? No, there's no connection. It's a mistake. Take it out.
Yeah. Oh, that went right over my head too.
Enraged me more than it should, but anyway.
But to his credit, like everyone is either fat or thin, and so it's not to credit. But
it is a binary
is just sort of
world.
A dart
yes.
at the wall. Yeah.
Yes.
But it is quite sloppy.
Yes.
So that thin woman. What does she just say? Oh, she says, you can't possibly be as old as all those wrinkles make you look. Of course, Being just 30 myself, older people tend to appear 40, said the tinkerer. 37, actually, she corrected, scowling. So we got banter. We got a crew. They're ragtag. They're bantering. One guy's messing with a juicer that's shaped like a huge carrot.
One guy's going, "This is a bug hunt, man, a bug hunt." Here's a technical question, because that is, I believe you were describing Shauna Beck.
Of course.
Yes, the young, a thin woman.
The thin woman
lady
who says, "I'm just 30." The guy says 40 and she says 37. So it's a little, was it The Office that someone was always like, "I'm in my mid-30s."
Yes. And this guy is tinkering with a juicer shaped like a huge carrot.
Yeah, and that would be Jess Kipling, Mike.
Yes, of course. Are we laughing at that? Anyway, that comes up again. But here we go. Here's the technical question for you. The guy responds, this is Mencken, I'm assuming. "The young lady is Shauna Beck, driver/pilot and in charge of our transportation fleet." Mm-hmm. And then Jess Kipling. So that's in the text, the slash. Did he say slash? You know what I mean? Right. Have you ever been handed a script and you're supposed to read it? You're like, what? Do I say the slash or do I not? She's a driver pilot. Is it one kind of word, kind of hyphen?
Like,
what is?
Because there's a lot of those words here in the future that are
driver/pilot. Is that like the file extension? Like, what is it? / //?
Because you do describe these things as sky cars, so you are really driving them and not flying them, correct? Have we met any pilots? Because we haven't seen any planes.
True. There was also a land van was discussed in the last chapter. So, wait. We have sky cars. Do we need to can't we just keep it as van? Like, no, we need to distinguish because, there are sky vans now. Like,
Wow. Well, I do believe the editor was with Larry at the Cantina first and was like texting him, "You got to get down here. Just put a slash in it, man. Who cares? Shatner doesn't care.
It's 2 for 1. They open both cans, so you have to drink them both. But it's cool. Like,
I'd hate to drink it myself." My editor has a problem. And then so Jess Kipling is described as our gadget man. He looks after all our weapons and electronic equipment, and he cooks up anything special we need for our operations and raids. So they're throwing a lot at us out here. We also meet Van Horn, the topography expert. I just want you to keep all these straight because they end up being really, really unimportant.
Super unimportant.
Yeah. Again, if this had been the whole thing of the book, you might have had these people like we've done countless movies where you do have a gadgets guy, you have a map expert, you have a driver, we have a guy who knows karate, and then that everyone gets to use their skill once in the thing, just like Ocean's 11. This none of this matters. I don't even know if Van Horn is ever mentioned again.
I forgot about it. All right, here's a quiz for you. I have so many of these coming challenges for you. What are the ages of everyone? Because I'll give you a clue.
Well, 37.
Sid Gomez is a mere youth compared to me, he assured her. And that's Jake talking.
Okay.
How are you pegging the age of Sid? I mean, we knew the age of, yes.
That's a good question. As I've been posting like some of these episodes to social media, I look up the Tech War Marvel comics, which I guess are from the 90s, and like every picture of Jake is sort of this, the Rob Liefeld, square jawed, craggy, but like arms the size of the guys in over the top arm wrestlers. So I did not anticipate that he was going to be regarded as insanely old by the 37-year-old.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, it hadn't really occurred to me, but I guess is he supposed to be in his 50s and Gomez is 45, my age? I don't know.
I don't know. Wow. All right. Well,
sure.
He's a mere youth.
Yeah. And much like Van Horn, it doesn't matter. What matters is whether you're husky, pudgy, tall, thin, or black. As we meet, Gomez comes in escorted by a large, pudgy black man. So it's sort of like the trifecta there. Oh
yeah, who's Shauna? Because Shauna comes up in this at the end of this chapter.
Shauna is Shauna Beck is the sassy pilot, driver/pilot. She's
okay.
the 37-year-old.
Oh, here we go. So, yeah, okay, got it. So Gomez comes in looking somewhat weary and worn, was being escorted by a large, pudgy black man. Buenas noches, he said, his voice sounding a little worn. Oh, I guess they didn't do it. Buenas noches.
Yeah.
Is that a little worn?
It sounds a little worn.
Holy Christ, commented Shauna. This one's in even worse shape than Jake. So these guys just look
absolute garbage. God. Nick Nolte mugshot, like,
wow. And so here comes your Sonic challenge.
Oh boy.
Shauna produced a rude noise.
I had that marked. I didn't look ahead far enough. Yep. Okay, so it says Shauna Beck is the hospitality chairman. She's very good at it.
Okay, that's good.
All right, no still frames of that. That was not an attractive
I like
face.
this one.
Yeah.
That's a good, you just like with the gesture too.
Bleh.
A rude noise. Well, that's rude.
I think I've only seen a Simpsons impression of Joan Rivers doing this, but like,
Oh, yeah. Okay, so they're getting the team together. So this is when Shauna, she mutters. So after making a rude noise, empty-headed, muttered Shauna, who was watching the lanky Kipling putter with the giant carrot. For God's sake, Kipling, would you settle that thing? What are you doing? You're a tech expert. Like, I can't figure this out. No way, no how, Captain.
No, I mean, I get sort of like that, you know, if Lauren's like, I can't get my computer to do this thing. And then she's like, 10 minutes later, it doesn't matter. I'm like, well, now I want to fix it. Like,
yes.
The carrot juice is coming out at half stream. I need it to. It's like, Kipling, please focus. My son is in danger. My son, Hank Wiener, is. Okay, all right, I'll stop. I didn't realize his name was Hank Wiener.
There was one time I was supposed to go to a Twins opener, and we owned a house, and the sink like backed up with like orange peels or something. And I was like, well, I'll just go to your Twins opener. I'm like, I don't like this. And then she thought I left, and then like 2 hours later I was down in our basement. I had taken all the pipes off, and I had a thing, and I was covered in muck. The floor had a tarp down, and I was covered in muck, and like mucking out to the street with a hand drill and stuff. And she's like, I thought you left. Like,
she comes down.
Frank
Viola pitched a perfect game, and you were there to see it. What the hell?
Can't have orange peels backing up into the thing. I just said I saw a peel.
Oh, Kipling. Well,
yes, Kipling.
But
futzing with the carrot.
Right. It would if the security system at Camp 30 was like shaped like a giant carrot, and he was like, this is what I've been preparing for my whole life. Well,
I solved it before. I can solve this again.
I don't think carrots come up anymore.
Cardigan claps him on the back. You're one of a kind, Kipling, you lanky son of a... Get going.
Oh. Well, before we move on to the next chapter, I think we should, in case we don't have time for the emails at the end, we did get a Real or FanFic update from Lucas.
Yeah, we don't need to do it if you want to.
Well, I think we probably, I mean, I haven't even read what he says. I just think it's probably important.
Oh, you haven't read it?
Well,
I mean, you don't know.
No, I don't know what
this will be a surprise, as much a surprise to you as it is to anyone.
As it is, yes. It could be great news for me.
Sure.
Bad news for you. It could be the exact reverse. It's like Real or FanFic in itself.
Yeah, this will be fun to do live then.
Lucas is, of course, a valued Patreon supporter at patreon.com/372pages. We've had some fun stuff over there. We do a whole other podcast where we do Encyclopedia Brown Mysteries.
Yeah.
We did one with David Roth from Defector. That was fun. Yeah. John Hodgman of many things. Yeah. And we'll see who else. I've got a lot of emails out there that have gone unanswered to other illustrious guests that we'll see if any of them take the bait. But Lucas has to say this. There is certainly a lot to talk about for this latest season of Real or FanFic. This is the first time Mike and Conor went head-to-head responding to the same passages, and the results are interesting. There were 15 rounds. Mike and Conor concurred in their answers 10 times. 5 times they got it right. The other 5 times they got it wrong. The real test is where they differed. Mike and Conor diverged in their answers 5 times, and every single time Conor got it right and Mike got it wrong. This means that Mike
means the divert. Yes.
This means that no. I mean, it could have.
I guess.
Means that Mike scored 5 out of 15, 33.33%, one of his lowest performances, which is surprising since his run on the original Tech War was one of his best performances, 75.9%. His new total average has dropped to 58.11. Conor, meanwhile, scored 10 out of 15, 66.66%, which is exactly average for him since his new average is 66 out of 99, 66.66%.
And the what is the pool? What is the number there? How many?
I don't know how many you have overall. I've guessed on 99, so you've probably guessed on 200 at least.
Oh, I think probably more than that.
So, I mean, a bit more time to stabilize. But I will say, to your credit, at some point in time, you tried to go in the other direction to try to beat me for the episode.
Yeah, well,
maybe it was short-sighted if you're concerned about these long-term statistics.
So yeah, either
win the battle, not the war, kind of thing.
You only live once. Yeah, go for broke. It's only a game. Who was I was talking to? So it was like a guy in just a bar or something. Like, Game 7 of the World Series '91. Yeah, Tom Kelly going out to the mound, and I was just like, yeah. And then I said, and then he, Jack Morris, he handed the ball back to him, and he said, well, it's only a game, or something. That was my contribution because I remembered that quote. Like that was in the, and the guy was like, son of a bitch, you're right, man. He was just like clapping me on the back, like, yeah. I'm just trying to yeah, get this guy everything he wants.
There is something to be said about just, they call it, the guy that we talked to, David Roth, they call it remembering some guys. And there's something to be said about doing that with some random strangers sometime. It's a good way to bond. I don't know. I did appreciate that one guy pointed out when we stopped talking about sports and when we started trying to solve the Encyclopedia Brown mystery as well.
Okay, good.
Book discussion begins at
yes.
Well, let's get back to the book discussion. Thanks again to everyone who supports the Patreon. I hope that we make it worth your while. I think we do. It's fun stuff we got going on over there.
I will just say I will never get up to 66% on my. So just don't expect that.
Does that include your miraculous run of 14 for 15 on that? I don't remember what book that was.
I'm assuming that stirred into the mix.
I think that was in Ellis's first book. Yeah, that was in Antigua. So, geez, now Jake, they're trying to rescue his son. They've met the crew. They've met Van Horn, the topography expert.
Yeah.
What is the time to do now? Sneak in, get his son, start putting on eye black, camo. Time for a meeting with the head of your detective agency over a vid phone. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Star Wars prequel terms here. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go take a vote on some sort of procedural matter.
This is so he's the disgruntled chief, I assume. We don't see much of Bascom. You remember he was what is this distinguished thing? He has a wrinkled bathrobe.
He has a bathrobe, but he also sleeps in a nightshirt without any pants or underwear on.
Yeah, he Winnie the Pooh's it, but then he has
yes, rumpled. His suit was rumpled, and that's how they knew it wasn't him.
Yes,
doesn't come up ever again. We gave him more credit. Yeah.
But I assume he's a disgruntled chief because it's always like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Gomez coming into my office late and then eating a donut in front of me. It gives me a heart attack. My wife told me I got to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, but you're the best detective I got, Gomez.
You wrecked 3 squad cars. You killed 4 horses. You blew up the building that we were trying to save. Good job, Gomez. Anyway, that's him. From my reading of Gomez's report on this matter, which is as terse and cocky as all of his reports, he kidnapped a man. Oh, sorry, that was the other guy. He made, rather, a citizen's arrest. So that's the disgruntled chief. That was the second part. I totally blew the reading. But he made, rather was the disgruntled
chief, yeah, who's just, red-faced with rage and spittle. He made, rather. Are you sort of disappointed in the frequency that citizens' arrests happen, like based on what the movies led you to believe growing up? I sort of thought that would just be something that would, you'd get a chance to do one of those a year or something.
Yeah, you always heard about him, but I've never. I wish I knew someone who did citizen arrest someone, but I've never met anyone.
I suppose if anyone's trying to do that, it's probably going to be a weirdo that you should not be citizens arresting someone with a sovereign citizen tag on their. I guess they're a citizen though. So anyway, probably the appropriate amount of citizens arrests, actually, now that I start to think about it.
Well, can we get our statistician who just did the Real or FanFic to go through all of the successful citizens arrests and how many actually prosecuted after that, successfully prosecuted and then jailed?
How many times these citizens arrester has themselves been jailed? I think based on like next door posts about like, what is this suspicious truck doing again? You don't want your average citizen arresting anybody.
I'm not actually on your sidewalk. I'm going to tase you. Citizens arrest. Like, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, I just agree. You're your Samoas, ma'am. So the only thing that I thought was weird about here is that Anselmo, I had to look back at it. Anselmo was the guy that filled in for Bascom while he was arrested. Yes. He's sort of like, Jake shouldn't have been allowed to abandon work on your case. Like and I thought he was trying to like cover something up. I thought he might have been involved in something. Like we should get him back here. He shouldn't be looking into this type of thing, which is what a guilty guy usually does. It also doesn't have any have any bearings on anything. He's just sort of there saying that. There was the other guy who was sort of bleary-eyed. I think his name was Walt Askham? No.
Walt Askham?
No, it wasn't Walt. Do you remember the guy who went to the casino? He got $5,000 paid.
Oh, yeah.
Anson. His name was Anson. He got $5,000, and then Jake sort of like beat him up. He's never been mentioned again, and that was sort of like, I think that was who was going to keep tabs on Jake. It was a plot that seemed like it was going to be kind of important, and it just sort of went nowhere.
Okay. And his name was, so we have Anselmo and we have Anson.
And Ansem and Bascom. And Anson, I think, is out of the picture. Anselmo is concerned about this in a suspicious way, but it's not important. And Bascom is the guy who sleeps with his hog out.
Right. Okay. And by the way, we have dialogue in this chapter here, which is a lot of it is unattributed. Mm-hmm. So you just have to like, another sourpuss, commented Bascom. How's that? Merely the ramblings of a doddering old coot. Why are you here, Lieutenant? It's only like rereading, and I'm like, oh, that's him responding back to him, but it could have been anyone in the room or in this meeting.
Multiple could have said that. You get unattributed dialogue coming over and over.
Just attribute the dialogue.
You do get introduced to Lieutenant Drexler, who is described as a black policeman, who is there to investigate a report that Bascom is involved with kidnapping and smuggling. So more... it's yet another thing where he's like, I know this probably isn't accurate, but I have to just sort of throw these red herrings of investigations into the mix at the in the final 5 chapters of the book.
All right. I'm lost now.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I skipped ahead of my notes to Colonel Woodbine. So sorry. That's at the J.J. Bracken. Wait, what is happening here?
J.J. Bracken is interviewing a colonel.
Oh, that's Colonel. Right. Okay. Sorry. It cuts then to this guy who we have not seen much at all. Right?
J.J. Bracken or the Colonel?
Neither.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I don't think we see them again.
Okay. The Colonel, I believe, we have never seen before.
I think it's just your standard guest who's, agreed to appear on this program of this sort of outrage merchant, and he gets punched in the face.
Okay, so we're supposed to just like we're in this office in this meeting, like, hey, we're gonna do this. And the captain is like, and the 2 cops come in and like, if you don't prove it right now, we're gonna shove you downtown into a hole so deep they'll have to pump sunlight to you. Cut to a hollow stage, and then J.J. Bracken is interrogating Colonel Woodbine, who had pale blonde hair. Which is a thing that it's like you're fat, skinny, you have blonde hair, long blonde hair, you have pale blonde hair, or you have dark and misty hair.
Right.
Those are the only things that you have. So
okay, those are If he was making the game Guess Who, where you have all those people and you have to be like, is he plump? And then he puts down half the characters on his side.
yes.
This scenes with J.J. Bracken, I mean, you don't want to give credit because he doesn't earn any. It's like, it's one of the only things that's somewhat unique about this, but it is also the thing that if you're like, I need you to, the publisher needs you to trim 5,000 words from this book in order to get the cost down. You're like, well, all of that can go immediately with no harm to anything.
I think so, right?
Yeah. It doesn't.
Was this a time where someone like this really needed to be lampooned in a sci-fi
right.
book of the future?
The Capitol Steps were probably getting some mileage out of it. Like, but I don't know. There was that they went underground, and it was like, this guy doesn't look like an American to me.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So,
and who's Temerson? Mr. Temerson.
I think that might be a producer who's like talking to Casey. Okay. He's just, I think because Casey, who's been helping down in the Caribbean, she worked for J.J. Bracken. Which
yes.
You thought was going to, she's sort of doing the, will they or won't they with Jake, even though they're, different. But I think this is just how it's how you're made to understand that she's different than Jake politically, even though we don't even know how old Jake is. We know nothing about him.
I feel like I skipped over the subtlety of this political satire, so I'll gift it to the people who aren't reading along now. This is, I believe, Bracken. I'll also be telling you how to get one for your very own, that's a parenthetical, my new vid disc, quote, throw all the freeloading orphans into the gutter where they belong. So it's super subtle. It's, wow.
I wonder when, because it was a book I remember that, of course, I didn't read, but Rush Limbaugh is a Big Fat Idiot by Al Franken. What year did that come out? That was
I think
1996. So when did Tek Kill come out? I think that's probably, if this wasn't 1996, I guess that was just something that was in the air. Mm-hmm. 1996, they're the same year. So yeah, I mean, and the Capitol Steps, what would the Rush Limbaugh parody be called? Limbaugh, there's no way to go down. I said, Limbaugh, when you get off the ground, R-U-S-A. I don't know. So, I don't know. Give that 5 more minutes and you probably have the Capitol Steps parody. All right. Anyway, that's the last time we're going to hear about that, so it's not worth getting into. But they reiterate her plan to sneak into the twins' facility in a foods truck.
Yes.
And then it cuts to... Oh, boy. Here's some evocative Ron Goulart writing at the start of chapter 39.
Oh, yeah.
A light mist had come drifting in across the Pacific with the night, and the Malibu sector of greater Los Angeles had a hazy, blurred look. That siren in the Malibu sector there.
Oh, yeah, sorry. They're coming for me, yeah.
The bright lit towers, the interlacing multi-level ped ramps and walkways, the sky cars and sky cabs floating by all appeared smudged. There was a strong scent of the sea in the air, even in the plastiglass tracking shed in the landing area across the Cosmos Tower. You could smell it.
Even in the plastiglass tracking shed in the landing area atop the Cosmos Tower? This is too much.
They've got smell block technology.
This one annoyed me so much that I'm a petty man. I hold grudges. The bright lit towers, one word?
Yep.
Looked it up. There's no such thing as bright. So this is another invention. This is another we'll see if he turns into Edgar Allan Poe, like if he can invent words like Shakespeare invented 10,000 words or something.
Nice,
like that.
Yeah.
Bright lit? I don't know. Bright lit towers. The bright towers? The brightly lit towers? I don't know. Bright lit. I'm not allowing it. I'm saying no to that. Anyway.
Another listener, maybe it's in their dumb sentence comment, pointed out that he did, make up 8 different words in this 4-sentence paragraph, but then he just went with walkways.
Okay.
And so the Black Lieutenant Drexler is saying, I heard you help kidnap Avram Moyek. And he's like, come on, like he's a vid forger. You've even arrested him several times. Well, I admit Moyek is a very talented vid forger, but you haven't convinced me he's good enough to produce security tape that'd fool our experts. So it's like, what more do you need to know about this guy? All right, like the cocaine was planted. You say it was by Pablo Escobar. Yeah, I know he dabbles in the cocaine trade, but not enough to convince me that he's the one who did it. Come on now.
But then he invoked, in order to persuade this guy who seems unpersuadable, Moyek was linked to the Zach X Coven Tex cartel up in NorCal. Oh, well, hang on a second here. Now I'm on board.
Yeah. Oh, the Zach X Coffin Tech cartel, not the Murray X Coffin. Got it. I'd like to look that up. Zach X Coffin is someone who's only been mentioned off camera as well.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if he's in the other books or not, but
can you again, when you make up a name and then just like invoke it for, he was linked to the Zach X Coffin Poopy Head Boo Boo Spoopy Poop. You're like,
a good guy. Zach X Coffin, meet Hank Wiener. We're getting a gang together.
Yes.
This just made me laugh because essentially Gomez's second cousin Raul Martinez calls in and says, like, we've lost control, someone cut the brakes, etc. They look out the window and his sky van crashes into these plaz ramps and walk ramps and whatever. The sky van hit another ramp. A heavy-set woman screamed and fell through a broken railing. I'm glad that in her dying moments, she was her body type was noted, and I'm glad that sort of Space Mutiny, David Carradine, like Future Force-esque guys falling over railings in industrial areas still persist in this thing. I'm glad that that's what was in Ron Goulart's head as he wrote this scene. Yes, the Wilhelm scream is implied.
Yes, explosions and then the woman, her dying words are like, I just lost 40 pounds.
Yeah, really, I was making great progress. They the evil twin invented a spray. They don't have to give me a gun anymore. Ozempic is now a spray.
The craft came apart like a huge jigsaw puzzle, and its parts and its people were scattered violently across the blurred night. So everyone just covered in blonde hair, I'm assuming. Like long blonde hair.
Yeah, the blonde, like in a Naked Gun movie, the blonde hair has been blowing out someone's hair and onto the bald guy next to him.
Say.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so Drexler, the lieutenant, essentially goes, well, there goes your witness, because Avram Moyek has been exploded.
So this is like the worst. This is like one of those pileups that happens during a blizzard where like thousands of people are trapped in a, but the guy's like, well, your witness looks like he's like doing the side eyes to the thing. Like it's still burning. Like people are running out with their heads on fire.
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to rush into this scene
and so think about that? Yeah, are accidents like this? They have to be the most common kind because they're sky cars. So at least when there's a car that breaks down on the road, you're only going to hit most likely other cars. It's very rare that a car crashes into a building and affects the people in there. Cars can just crash into a cantina at any point in time, throwing people off a balcony out of the sky, and then you plummet how far? Like accidents have gotten much more horrific, I would say. If this can just happen whenever you want to in whatever business or plaza ramp you're walking on.
Hey, Jake, that's the GLA, man. You just got to get used to
it. Going back to Molly is talking to Susan Grossman. I was amused because she says that her attorney, she had an off-camera attorney uncle who was going to help her out.
Yes, yeah.
And it says, thank your Uncle Leo for me. Oh, his friends are up vacationing on the moon. So
yes.
are they
tourists
riding the train with Jazz?
Yeah, Jazz.
A listener sent us a link to an article that said that Andy Weir, it was sort of like a the rest of the story, Paul Harvey kind of thing.
Sure.
It talked about the game studio Blizzard, who makes World of Warcraft and a bunch of other games. The most successful game studio ever. It talks about how one guy who used to work for them was just didn't work hard enough, and people didn't like me because I wasn't spending 22 hours a day there. And in the end, the programmer, whose name is Andy Weir, pursued other dreams. And then it says this: he wrote The Martian and Project Hail Mary. Is that all? Is that all the books he wrote? I think there was one in between those two.
You're missing one.
That's incredible.
Then Dylan did Self-Portrait. All right.
Then what else? I think they're sort of filling in Susan about what's happening now. She was the only character who they hadn't sat down and related the events of the past couple chapters to, so they felt the need to do that.
Yes, and then Molly gets her marching orders, right? I'm assuming she's in 16. Is she 16.5, 16.4? We don't know. 16.1. Yeah, anyway, smiling, Molly shook her head. Jake didn't give me any details about what, how, or when, but I got the impression he expects to have Dan out of that rotten camp soon, she answered. Super unconcerned about her boyfriend being mind-wiped and put into a concentration camp.
Yeah, I don't know if I could even date a Hank Wiener. I mean, then I would be Molly Wiener if we got married, and that's a deal breaker, honestly.
Yeah, I'm 16.2, and then the rest of my life would be sort of like reprogramming his brain. I'm out.
Yeah.
Thank you, though.
Gonna go find a guy with long blonde hair.
Yeah.
I don't know any of these details, Susan, but as soon as I get filled in, I will come here and relay them back to you in real time. That is my promise as a character in a Ron Goulart book. I will explain to you a plan that we already know the details of.
Hopefully it's in a meeting room. I'm not promising anything. I know that'll be exciting, but yeah.
Yeah. And she this might be the last time we see Susan. She hand waves away her situation by saying, my uncle Anthony said he's going to get a hearing arranged for you in a couple days, so you'll be declared sane and then you can go free.
Okay.
And this, not when I realized it, but I think that is the last time we see Susan. So Juneanne Stackpoole.
Oh, yeah.
Completely, I don't even know if it's blurry on it, if she's never even made an appearance, but like that's the last we'll be hearing of that curiously named woman who I speculated might be an invention of her mind, but much less interesting than that.
Mrs. Juneanne Stackpoole, right?
I guess
so. There is a Mr. Stackpoole somewhere who we don't know who.
Roderick Stackpoole. Now we get to go see Hank Wiener's situation.
Oh yes, in the camp, Camp 30.
Do you think it was just like, did Goulart think to himself it was too much to make him be named Harry, or was it just like this? My editor, that's the one thing he put his foot down about. Is it like when we sometimes do things knowing that the censors are gonna, we'll flag this that you obviously, we put in something they obviously will flag.
Yeah, you put in it's yes.
I'll call him Harry Wiener, and then he'll let me keep in all the things where I say something in the middle of a sentence to interrupt the flow.
Yeah, it's the brown M&M thing. It's not what you think. They're asking it to see if you're paying attention to the rest of the stuff.
So, the robotic guards wake up Hank Wiener, and then they say that you're no longer on the road clearing duty. You're not picking up garbage. We're taking you down to the sewers, which is the worst place to be in this work camp.
Which I didn't, since I don't know what the work camp is, that was supposed to be like, that's the end of like a little chapter thing. Like the guards like, get up, you know where we're taking you? I don't know. It all sucks. Like, we're taking you to the sewers. Is that like on a scale of 1 to 10? Like,
right.
Like hitting, like being on the road crew. It's, the sewers they're cool then, right? So it's cooler than being up on the road.
Sure.
It is. It's 20 degrees cooler and the humidity is quite mitigated because we're down in the sewers.
Well, to me, that makes it a better situation. And in fact, the mind wipe did sort of numb my olfactory canal, so not being able to smell, I'll take the sewers 10 times out of 10.
Look, Wiener! Yeah, how dare you? It's worse. Just trust me. I've never done any of this. Is my first day. So again, like whatever you do is fine with me. Well, it's It's way worse.
You're
Get
a
used to
robot.
it."
Do you really mind being in the sewer? Like, do you have a real negative association with feces? Does it bother you as a robot?
Unfortunately, yes. They
Yes,
programmed me with the ability to super smell like a dog, so it's the worst thing ever. I don't know why they did that.
I'm sure it'll come in handy for you sometime. Maybe if you go to, Cinnamon's Pie Shop in Christmas River, you'll be able to take in the aromas, and you'll sit there with your mug in both hands and drink your cocoa. I hope that is my hope for you, prison camp robot.
Why are you bicycling backwards on top of me? God, you're so heavy.
All right. Then what happens next? They go back to getting the crew together. They sort of go over the thing. There's a character named Kip is Kipling, who is the guy who was working on the cart.
Yes.
I mean the carrot.
The carrot, yes.
The carrot machine. They ask the woman, the sassy woman asks, "How's the old gent making out?" Grinning, Jake borrowed the phone. "Glad you asked. We have time to pop across the road and help me get to my feet just as the action starts? Because my back's been acted up." And so his son's being, shocked in the nads by robots. He's wading through sewage. Jake's just having a great time quipping with this new love interest.
With the one who's like, "Look at the wrinkles on his face. Left you out in the sun too long. Like, leave you out in the sun too long, and I'll be on top of you like stink on a sewer."
She's snapping her
Camp
gong.
30.
She's got like steampunk goggles and stuff. Like, "I'd like to see you try."
This new guy, get him. But they end the chapter with, this is, usually, like, I give some credit on the chapter ends where they're like, well, then we better get in there, and if we have to kill a bunch of people, so it is. That kind of like, wow, okay. I can't wait to read the next chapter.
Yeah.
Here's the end. "Can you guys bring this off?" Jake was close behind him. I think we sure as hell better try, don't you?" "Yep."
Credits. Next week on Tech War.
What's going to happen next? They're going to try, and he agreed with him that they should probably try. He agreed sort of weakly. He didn't go like, hell yes. He went,
Yeah.
yep.
Yep. Blow a bubble, pop it.
My son, I don't know.
Yeah,
He's not that great on the scale of sons. He's not the best. And they renamed him and wiped his mind. Like, what does he know? Like, who cares?
He doesn't even call me dad. Like, I wasn't there. I met him 2 years ago.
Yeah. Plus, then he gets to show up at, like, he gets out of Camp 30, and then he goes to his freshman year. He's like, "Hank Wiener, how are you?" And everyone's like, "God, man, you're going to fit in so well here."
Yeah.
You're damn
it's a fresh
right,
start I needed. Yeah.
You know what? We had a guy last year. His name was Cardigan. Hated that guy. But you, dude, Hank Wiener, Wiener. Shots.
Hank Wiener, elected student body president, future secured at popular investment bank firm. All right. Well, it cuts to Casey Bascom, back down in the Caribbean, about to rescue Rebecca, the good twin who has been trying to blow the whistle on her brother Roland.
Yes.
She sneaks in. She quickly slips a bug disabler disc out of her pocket. So I think last time we had a true disc, that makes you unable to lie. Now we have bug disabling discs.
I was really offended by this. Like, come on, man. No cute name on all these other things. Like, you have a plastic handkerchief you have to rename, but bug disabler disc? Like, I don't know. I'm the inventor. I think we'll stick with that. Bug disabler disc. Like, all right, I'll design a graphic for that, but it's going to be a tough road.
Can we at least give it an Amazon brand name? Like, Oxcobang.
Yes.
And
bug disabler will make you very happy disabling bugs as you attempt to disable bugs on your...
Disables all bugs, Windows 95, cabin crew Scarlett Johansson.
Please check below. Name. Please contact us before returning product.
And does it show up? Like, is it like people who bought bugs on Amazon or also bought bug disabling discs? And you're like, well, they really should be staying one step ahead of this. If this is just something you can, and then she says that, I've been posing as a I told the guys I was one of Dr. Stolzer's assistants. Stolzer. That's why they let me in. She does inform her that all right, we're gonna nuke this place. We have exactly 17 minutes, which bothered me a great deal as a needlessly specific yet not round time interval, as this guy's want is to do. And it says they included a self-destruct switch down in the basement in case of a raid, which I guess is a place if you're manufacturing illegal stuff you might actually do. And then this plan, as they're going to go do that to try to take this place out, is quickly interrupted by, odd that I don't have any idea who you are, the large man said, especially since I'm Dr. Stolzer. So I was going to
quiz you on if you had to guess Dr. Stolzer's size.
Okay.
And you only have two choices. But wouldn't it have been amazing if he was like average size, waist 36. He's in the middle of a regime. He's like doing a slim down. He's doing the Mediterranean diet. And so I was heavier. I kind of yo-yo. Right now I'm in the middle. Be slim or fat, man.
He wore a large coat, leaving his body type ambiguous.
Damn it. Open that coat. I shall not. Thank you, though.
He puffed out his cheeks the way you would do to try to trek one of those guess your weight guys at a carnival. Man, that should be Goulart's job.
Yes. Wow.
Guess I don't guess your weight. I guess whether you're husky or slim. It's really... Really, I don't understand why anyone would do this. It's a pretty easy thing. No one has won a stuffed animal ever.
Well, you are neither tall nor thin.
God! He explodes. He was a cyborg all along. His logic circuits. It then cuts back to Hank, but I didn't have anything noted in Hank's. They just continue to explain to him. I think he's in the transport van taking him to the sewers, and he's talking to some guys named Bert. He's talking about Ogden. He says Ogden told me, but I don't think Ogden is here in the land van going towards the sewers.
Petway is, and
okay.
If you had to guess, what is his body type? Could we get
slim?
Oh, you guessed wrong. He's husky and black. So.
Oh yeah, the husky black Petway.
Petway, yes.
God.
Wow. Oh, wait. And then, sorry, one more before we go on to 42. And there was Dan sitting between a blonde boy and a hefty Chinese youth.
Hefty might be new. He's not wimpy.
Yeah. Oh, that was a cut down. I feel like the cuts now are like Michael Bay, where I can't keep track. Like, oh, God, where are we now? Mm-hmm. He's trying to just if I just accelerate 2 paragraphs here, now we're cutting here, now we're cutting. Like, who? Wait, who?
Yeah,
Hankins sat down. This is blah 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 blah. Jake is here, dude. Ha ha ha. Picture this. Like, no.
Yeah, the action is very accelerated because I believe it's probably pretty difficult to write good action, and that's why it does. This is the action of the boys being noting that something is awry. It says. Another one, Bert was pointing at the back window. Another sky car was settling down back there directly in the path of the backup car. And a third sky car was skimming in across the weedy field on their right. Trouble? Asked Hank. For these bastards, sure, said Bert, laughing, but maybe not for us. And then it cuts to them on the side of the road. The guards are subdued. The boys are being pulled out of the road. So everything is just, exactly like you said, cut to... wow, that was a tricky thing, but we sure pulled it off.
God.
And I want to point out that Petway was not one of the boys in the car. He was mentioned before once. It said, after Kip used the disabler on the van, Jake and I will move out and take care of the driver and the guard. Gomez and Petway will disable the follow-up car and incapacitate the 2 camp guards riding in that. So he was mentioned once before, but he was not... The first time he was mentioned, it was not described as the husky black Petway. That's only the second time. So it's completely superfluous that he's even mentioned. His description is mentioned. Hefty Chinese youth. Don't know anything else about him.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so they get them all out. They subdue the guards. And then they're like, well, the boy's been mind wiped. And he says, thanks for helping me, sir, to his dad. Like Peppermint Patty. I mean, like Marcy.
Yes. Wait, so... He's rescued him already?
Yeah, right here. It had them in the car talking about the sky cars pulling up, And then he says, "Everybody out, you springing this, or is this a honjacking?" asked the blonde boy, who you might recall was sitting next to Dan and one down from the hefty Chinese youth.
Okay, so then in 42, they're still in Yazoo.
Yeah. Well, no. I take issue with that statement. They were parked, 2 sky cars were parked near each other in a small clearing of woods in a Mississippi town that was neither Yahoo nor McLennan.
Okay.
And if you could think of a better way to describe where you might be than what 2 towns it isn't, I'd like to hear it. And then it says, Macon said, "Everything went damn well, Cardigan. Yeah, your Marauders were great, even Shauna." So it's very much like, remember in Ready Player 2, where it's like, I don't remember what happened, but we defeated all the princes.
Your Marauders sure did a good job today.
You're damn right, Cardigan.
Even her. Like, this guy, he's so old. I don't like him.
They then double down on their own joke. Jake says, "You understand what's going to happen now, Dan?" "Yes, but I still don't believe I'm going to turn out to be anybody named Dan Cardigan, sir. Still, it sounds like a better the deal than being Hank Wiener."
Yeah. You're the ones who gave him that name. Okay, so then they cut to, because we're getting near the end, the exciting conclusion, right?
They are. They're good. Well, they're going to ship Hank up to Dan up to Maggie Pennoyer, who lives in Connecticut.
Oh, she's the mind reprogrammer.
Yes, he's the D-mind wiper.
Right. If you've had your mind wiped, you got to go by Stolzer. So she's totally, like, Stolzer must be like, "Oh, I bet you're going to go see Maggie." Yeah, she's the only one who's figured out how to reverse my mind wipe. Like,
she's the bug-disabling disc of the mind wipe world.
Yes.
So Ogden, his buddy who helped him out, he's bleary on it. I mean, but like, was he in this camp legitimately, or any people there because they murdered their parents, and so it's like, oh yeah, you didn't want to free the hefty Chinese youth. He was there for like, he shot up a 7-Eleven, so like you shouldn't have freed him. Like,
at those pest holes? Are you talking about those?
Yeah, we know Jake was there under false pretenses, but certainly some of these people must have been there because they're menaces to society.
So what was it? Ogden Slapnoodle? What was his name?
Probably. I think that was exactly Ogden Slapnoodle.
So it would be like, well, obviously they mind wiped you if they named you Ogden Slapnoodle. So let's bring you as well to, this is going to be tough, but yeah, we got a lot of sky vans. Let's just haul everyone since we are the Marauders.
Yeah. They mind wiped Ogden. He's like, oh yeah, I remember. Hitler had some good ideas. It's like, no, mind wipe him again. God. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like Con Air, where it's like, well, yeah, sure, John Malkovich, ate people, but like he was lovable on this mission. So, but then it cuts to Casey and Dr. Stolzer.
Oh yes, this is amazing.
So speaking of action, we do get Ron Goulart writing some action.
This is where like she's got to get out of there because Stolzer's like, you're not. I don't know you at all. Who are you? And she's like, I'm she does the Jerry Lewis thing. But here's Stolzer's death. Full out vaudeville comedy routine as he dies. I could not believe this. We're in the middle of like, this is serious, man.
Yeah.
There's like people's lives are at stake. This woman, they're going to wipe her mind, and then the tech people are going to take over. Stolzer made a surprised huffing sound. His mouth snapped open as his eyes suddenly shut. Each of his hands inscribed invisible circles in the air. Then he did a few steps of a tiptoe dance and dropped to his knees. So full out, like, what are you doing? What are you, like, Abbott and Costello, like, slapping him, like, don't I just, someone shot me. Oh, no, you die with dignity. If someone shot you, you gotta slap.
Get
like,
yourself together.
You're slapping me while I'm dying now.
I mean,
What the hell?
Or, a cartoon character getting uppercutted and just like, or, that happens when you knock a guy out in Mike Tyson's Punch Out. They do sort of like float, with their hands like that out into the corner where they slump with X's in their eyes. Yeah. So the evil Dr. Stolzer, essentially, the Nazi doctor from Marathon Man. That's how
he's Mengele. He's like filling twins, one with cement and the other with epoxy, and like, and
then he dies with his tongue lolls out onto the ground.
Stolzer. That was not my idea of a fun time.
And then, so she says to her, Casey says, "I wish we had time to give this guy a mind wipe, but we can leave now." And then she says to the woman who rescued her, "It's too bad you and I have such different political views," remarked Rebecca. "Otherwise, we could probably be close friends." That's what I would say in that situation when I've been, imprisoned and drugged up by my brother. And then someone just has shocked a Nazi doctor and knocked him out. That would be at the top of my mind.
Like you're for NAFTA and I'm against it. But hey, we're in this filthy prison. Yeah. There's my crap bucket's right there.
Those are just implied in all these situations, I think. Yeah, Jake had one. Dan had one. She has one.
Sure.
But once my trauma counseling sessions kick in, maybe we can get together for some espresso martinis.
They said that, by the way, or she said that while she was still sort of laughing at the death of Dr. Stolzer. Like,
right.
I'm going to give it to him. That was a pretty funny death.
Here's some more color for you, just to really set the scene. They do go down to the tech lab, the Sinister Tech lab. The lab was long and low and mostly white. 40 white enameled robots were working at rows of tables and desks manufacturing tech chips. The air was faintly scented with lemon.
Why do they have to do that for the robots?
It's like I'm there.
Oh, so it's like when you go into a hotel, you go into a hotel that you probably either overpaid for or you're going to pick up some friend, and they have the 3 water things with the cucumber and the lemon and mint.
I love those.
And you're like, which to choose? Can I have all 3?
Oh, man,
I am a robot, but I do like this lemon one. This is good.
You look and you're like, I think those are the same lemons that were here the last time I was here 8 months ago. This is... and so Roland is down there with the robot Derek, spelled Deryk.
Yes.
Roland keeps... he's now back to using the gun as opposed to the mouth spray.
Yeah.
But the robot's commenting that you've used it 3 times since we began the tour, so I don't believe you that it's not addictive. But then, essentially, they do activate the self-destruct. And do you have something?
Well, just the rumbling explosions began on the other side of one of the walls. Then a huge hole was blown in the wall, and a gust of roaring flame came shooting in. It ate across tables and robots, burning up everything, turning everything black and crusty. Jesus, cried Burden. Somebody's activated the destruct system. Why did you put that in there? Why do you have that?
Why
without you having control over it? Someone can just press that?
Right, the slightest advance warning that things are about to turn black and crusty. You might want to have that...
Flames shooting across all the tables, burning up everything, turning everything black and crusty?
Hey!
Why do we give that to every employee? The minute we put it in their handbook when they show up, and you should know there is a destruct system. If you feel at any time uncomfortable, just hit that, and it will burn up everything.
I just hit this.
Everything black and crusty.
There aren't 2 keys we need to turn at the same time? That's traditionally how this works.
No, there's one right next to you right there. You could press it right now if you wanted to.
This is a super empowered workplace. Yeah.
Oh, no, don't press it.
And over here's our ping pong table.
There are free kind bars. Oh,
wow. So they do activate the system. Roland Burden is down there, presumed dead.
Rollo,
yes. And then we cut back to Bascom and Drexler. So we've spent multiple chapters with this Drexler guy. He now says, maybe I was wrong about you. I'm convinced you're not a murderer after all. I'm ready to agree that this guy had the ability to turn out forged tapes good enough to fool us.
Yes.
I don't know why that is. I don't know what has changed his mind. But I think it might have been just cut for more scenes of robots explaining how their name is spelled or something.
I didn't get it either, but
they don't show anything. That's how the chapter starts, is him saying that. Convincing case made off screen.
And also, they don't talk about the severity of the accident, like the heavyset woman crashing through the railing. Like, how's she doing, man? Is she...
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, well, I believe you, I guess.
Yeah. She landed on a bus, and it did do quite a bit of damage because she, to emphasize, was quite heavy. So from falling that far up off of that railing, that's... he then says, the chief is like, but you've got, you're trying to bust Roland Burden, like he's a upright citizen. He's like, no, he's manufacturing tech, and Jake Cardigan's down there and going to bust him. Cardigan, a user and convicted dealer? Come on, he was framed at that. I know the guy was a tech head for a long time ago. Not now, and he never worked for the cartels or sold as much as a single tech chip. Your opinion, said the lieutenant. It's like, I think that you should probably be tired of being wrong about things in this case, Lieutenant. Like, move on, get out of my office.
But to spur the action on, then, a Vox box on his desk said, turn on the news channel, Lieutenant Drexler. A news channel is news with a Z, which I just thought, like, the Vox box would be like, I did not say that with a Z. Please do not print that down with a Z. News is news.
We have rebranded.
The exact same way.
It's news with an S. It showed that 3% less people trusted us when it was spelled with a Z. As shown by a focus group, focus with a Z too. So he says, turn on the news, and there's an explosion down in the Caribbean. And is it also where it says that there's now a hurricane headed towards it as well?
Yes, there's a hurricane there. Yes.
So it's really just amping up the action movie. We need to make our final act that much more exciting. I don't know. Send a natural disaster towards it.
Yes. But they're in an office doing that, and then they're like, "Oh, let's watch the news and the new." So the explosion, the thing that happened at the end of the last chapter, like someone activated the destruct system. Cut to two guys in an office going, "Can you believe they activated the destruct system?" And the whole place went up. Did it? That might have been exciting to watch everyone. Yeah, I don't know. I'm watching it on the news same as you. I'm learning about it the same way you are.
I'm seeing it on the news. No, I won't describe what I'm seeing. And then they call Jake in the sky car, who's, he's just rescued his son, him and Gomez. Walt Bascom calls him on the vid feed, describes to him what happened. She found out from one of your informants, in fact, that Burden had his sister locked up inside the place. He was planning to have our chum Dr. Stolzer do a mind wipe on her and thus keep her from telling any about his many shady activities. As you know, having read the book. But yes. I'm glad it got explained to Jake. Oh, and that's where it says, the International Weather Service is predicting a hurricane for midnight tonight.
Okay, so we're almost to the end. They're going down to
back to the Caribbean. So this place, they've just been all over. Greater Los Angeles, Mississippi, Sweetwater, Texas, Caribbean, Mexico.
San Peligro? Is that where they're going?
That might be the name of the resort, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. If that's a real place, forgive me. I don't know.
Okay. But
yeah, it's always been the Caribbean.
Okay, got it. And where does the I'm sorry, I started taking sparser notes because it was so I jumped a chapter ahead. Never mind.
Okay.
Forget what I said.
44 starts with Casey and Rebecca in, I think, a suite of their hotel. And,
okay. No, wait. This is my last note for 43. Sorry.
Okay.
It's where Gomez actually turns to the camera. He goes, muy bien, said Gomez, smiling. This is turning into the sort of case I enjoy. We got damsels in distress, rascally villains, and a possible chance to battle nature itself. Ding! You know, like, and freeze frame on Gomez. Like, that is so cheap.
That sounds like something, Jim Nantz during a football game. And tonight on Chicago Fire, we've got damsels in distress, rascally villains, and a possible chance to battle nature itself. This tonight on CBS at 8. Yes. And are the villains really rascally? There are a lot of people dead, abducted, mind wiped. Like, those rascals. They'll get that. Those rascally raccoons are in my trash again.
Oh, I'd sock them right in the jaw if I saw them.
But so then it goes to Casey and Rebecca. They're talking about what their plan's going to be now that they've blown up the thing. When, this is a new one, a shatter gun roared outside.
That was my question, yeah.
At the last minute, we've gotten a new type of gun. Las gun, stun gun, plas rifle, I think, and shattergun.
Shattergun roared. The next view window, one word, over from them exploded, and thousands of glittering fragments of plastiglass came cascading and spinning into the room. Mm-hmm. How does it differ from glass if it shatters like that and glitters and falls the way that glass does? What is the difference between the two?
Maybe it's like safety glass that you get a stuntman jumps through where it won't cut you.
So at Nakatomi Towers or whatever in the Bruce Willis movie, that he'd be like,
sure,
it's very soft to walk over. My feet are fine. It shattered into it. It's very, very similar. It looks exactly the same. However, the edges are not terribly sharp on your feet.
That'd probably be how they introduced the product in their Super Bowl commercial. John McClane's trying to walk across. Is like, wait a second. This is actually comfortable.
It's kind of soft.
That's right, John. Whoa, where did you come from, Roland Burden? With plastiglass. Speaking of Roland Burden, 2 men leaped in through the fresh-made opening. What a happy occasion, sis. I imagine you thought, you conniving bitch, that I'd gone on to my reward. After you destroyed the goddamn tech laboratory, you figured we'd never meet again. So it's sort of one of those soap opera, like, I thought you were dead. Nope. I got out somehow. And he's also with the bald man with the piping voice, who is, I guess, he's also down there. He's been down there. I don't recall.
And Zach X-Coffin is announced again.
He's in NorCal, right?
Oh, but he talks about him. But Burden bowed in her direction. So this is like, oh, God, did you really bow? What a pleasant surprise to find you at our party, Miss Bascom. My fondness for any member of the Bascom family is almost as strong as my feelings for my dear sister.
And what is coming next, I assume you were quite delighted by, if their past performance here is
hilarious. Guest written, he walked closer to Rebecca and, with the hand that wasn't holding the las gun, slapped her across the face. Period. Hard, 3 times.
Not as funny as a quote, African warrior doing it to a teenage boy from Connecticut.
Still,
but
memories.
So were they in succession? Did she just like keep looking back up and he slapped her again and she's like, I should just stay down?
Yeah, I should probably not offer this up again. But
And then he says something, and then Burden hit his sister twice more. So that's 5 slaps. Like, that's,
wow.
She can take a licking and keep on ticking. And so he then sort of monologues, much like his beloved, isn't there a monologue on a storm in King Lear? Like,
oh, yeah. Blow winds.
He sort of does that, just like, you ladies don't understand the nature of revenge, the pure, unadulterated kind. I didn't track you down and drop in tonight because I want to revive my fortunes. The wind was blowing even stronger now. It was invading the room, rattling everything, howling. Burden laughed again. No, I'm here to simply kill you both. So it's sort of one of those, like, if you've seen this happen with a Bond villain, like giving a lecture in a storm, you know how this is supposed to look.
Yes. I think I've always been obsessed with, like, guys announcing their plans and then, like, saying, they've got the person tied up. They're obviously going to kill them. Oh, did you think I was here to, like, play patty cake with you? No, I am here to kill you. Like, yeah, I got that from the fact that I've been drugged, tied up, and wall tortured for 7 hours. I understand that. Now you're here.
Yeah, you just blew up an airport. We understand you don't have any qualms about killing people. It's not a shocking thing. If the pizza delivery guy was like, ding dong, oh, you thought I was here to deliver your pizza. I'm here, in fact, to kill you. Like, you're like, well, that comes as a surprise.
That is a surprise. Thank you. That is new information.
How alarming. Yeah.
Yes.
But then the next sentence after that is, the wind caught Gomez and gave him an immense shove. So the transitions are just getting even more phoned in as we approach the final pages of this book, which we are doing.
Well, he's on point, though. He does say Chihuahua.
Yes.
Yes.
It's been his catchphrase of late. I feel like Chihuahua has been like 5 times. Every time I think about it, I just think about the trailer for Beverly Hills Chihuahua. What can make you move? Chihuahua!
Chihuahua!
The wind rushed into the living room, slapping at a floor lamp and toppling it. So slapping is coming on strong here in this final section. Even inanimate objects are doing slapping and getting slapped.
Mm-hmm. Slapping is good. And then the frequent... And suddenly, out of nowhere, I forgot this guy's name is Summerson?
The piping bald man?
The piping fat guy. She tried as she lunged to chop the las rifle out of Summerson's grip. Like we haven't called him. We've called him the bald guy with the piping voice like 4,000 million times, right?
Yeah.
And then once we're like, oh, that guy's name is Summerson. We saw him in the thing. And now it's just like, it's Summerson now. I was like,
right.
Who's Summerson? And I looked it up. I was like, God, that's infuriating.
If you're doing a college, a Revenge of the Nerds kind of movie, and there's a character who, could drink a whole case of beer in an hour, that's the mooch. And then at the end, they're like, oh, yeah, there's Theodore. And you're like, the mooch was named Theodore? Like, come on. Like, that's not what we know him as.
But he does, he laughed a fluty laugh, and he's later, so.
But then Gomez dives into the room, which is, their preferred way to enter the room. And then there is some action, which is mostly las guns, plastic glass shattering. But you get more of this. Summerson, Jake is tackling Summerson. And I think Burden's been Laz stun gun. Maybe he went out the window. Jake is fighting the bald piping guy. He spun clear, stood, grabbed up the bald man, and hit him in the face. He did that 3 more times.
Yes.
This is for hoarding my son, he said, hit him yet again, hard, square in the face. So 5 more blows to the face, but then he adds on to it. Summerson groaned, went slack. Jake hit him twice more. So that's close to a stop, he's already dead kind of thing.
Yes. He let go, and the big bald man... Summerson?
Oh, yeah, that must be Summerson. Huh, interesting. And then they sort of do I guess they didn't kill Burden. He says he's down and out, so he's been just subdued.
Yes. I mean, I figured that though Summerson, if he went slack after being hit in the face, when he hit him twice more, he's dead, right? He killed him.
Sure. Yeah,
Summerson's dead.
Full Ralphie. Blood's coming out of his ears.
Yes. Okay, that's what do you got for 44?
40. That's 44. This is 45. 45 is the last chapter, and it's a short one. So if there's any questions you have that are unanswered, they're going to remain that way because we got like a 200-word final chapter coming up here.
This is a paragraph, and this is mostly about the Nutmeg Nature Preserve,
of course,
and
which is in Connecticut.
Miss Pennoyer.
Miss Pennoyer.
I was like, she was mentioned. But when I saw it, I was like, all right, the character count is now 4 million. Who's Miss Pennoyer?
Well, they said he was going to take her up there in the final. She's the D-Mind Wiper.
She's the D-Mind Wiper.
We do get this one, too. Welcome back to Connecticut, Mr. Cardigan, said a long, lean man in a plaid jacket and gray trousers who was standing at the side of the path with a double-barreled las rifle cradled in his arms. Evening, Jason. So Jake is familiar with the caretaker's name. His first name basis with the caretaker at Miss Pennoyer's estate in Connecticut.
So when his son was mind wiped, that's maybe why he was so nonplussed by that. Like,
sure.
Oh, my son's he's at the Camp 30. All right.
Hell
I'll
yeah.
head up there.
Good chance to catch up with Jason.
Yeah. Let me Voxbox, get me Penoyer, talk to Jason.
What did you think of anything specific when you saw this description? There was a rural cabin at the path's end, and sitting on the porch was a woman in a low rocking chair.
Oh, were you eyeing her lemon drink?
Eyeing my lemon drink, yes. The potential to eye someone's lemon drink might be the highest it's ever been in this book. We had, and I think as another person pointed out, with the wind from the last chapter, that's pretty much the happening.
The happening is happening.
And they bring Dan in to Maggie Penoyer.
Yes.
She essentially says that Dr. Stolzer is a ham-handed, second-rate mind wiper. So this is like not even going to be that difficult to de-mind wipe him.
And then you get, I'm still trying to figure out what he looks like. He's a lot cute. This is Penoyer, I think, describing the son, right? Mm-hmm. He's a lot cuter than you, by the way. Of course, if he lives a few more decades of the life you lead, he may turn out as weather-beaten and woe-begone as you. Like, I'm just standing here, man. I just brought my kid down. I'm paying you a lot of money to de-mind wipe.
Right. Yeah.
Jason, is this the kind of, what is happening here?
Yeah, and it's because it's not like, Jake has, lived a hard life and has this look about him that is like, well, sure, like if he was George Clooney and just like living large and doing well, but he's like a former addict. He's like working a blue collar job. He doesn't have a fancy house or anything. It's like, yeah, I've got it rough. Why does everyone keep pointing that out? Like, not like I'm jetting off to Lake Como after this, like where I could just grin and bear your little jabs.
Thanks, man.
And so here's an exchange here. She's like, stopping on the threshold, Jake called out, "Dan, it's me." Dan appeared in the doorway. He hesitated, then came into the warm room. "It's okay," he said, smiling. "I know who I am. I know who you are. Maggie got me back." Jake put his arms around his son and hugged him. "Welcome back." "Thanks, Dad." Over his shoulder, Jake said, "Thanks, Maggie." The end. That's the end of the book. Thus endeth Tek Kill.
Wow.
That is a Meet and Larry for Margs if I've ever seen one type of ending.
Holy cow. Yeah, that's incredible.
I think we addressed some of the loose ends. What happened to Ogden? What happened to Juneanne Stackpoole? Is Susan Grossman ever going to be okay? Did they get Hermione's body out of the underground rainforest cafe type of thing? All I assume, and everything worked out for the end. The end.
Well, I'm still concerned about the sky car explosion that rocked the whole place. Like, that's got to be the biggest news.
Yeah, the business's insurance, are they going to try to weasel out of it? Like, heavyset woman's family.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Right. Chihuahua.
Oh, Pendale.
I don't know, man. This is, you could not, it would take a lot to get me to read another one of these.
I was frustrated with the last reading. I started to just be like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
This was a rough one. I got to admit, this was a slog.
The ticks are annoying. I mean, as we commented on, because they persist throughout the whole thing. But even if you took all those away, you'd clearly have a book with a lot of structural problems, such as, like the aforementioned repeating things. But the two separate beats, like these two different distractions at the end of the book, where it's like, we got to get out the sister and we got to get out Jake. Both of them are, of course, not really well done, but either one could have been the plot. You didn't need this weird B plot that didn't have anything really going for it. Like, I think it was just a way to involve tech in the story. Was it wiping out that tech lab?
Yeah, the villain being the piping man.
Oh my god, who just kept showing up,
just kept showing up
getting
everywhere.
Punched and then showing up again.
Got shot at in that sky car thing and piped over didn't add anything at all. I'm not a fan. I'm rating this well lower than the first Tech War.
I think so too. I think diminishing returns certainly happens, but getting introduced to the world was sort of a delight, and continuing to exist in the world is less so. I think that he was out of ideas, and don't think it's a coincidence that they only got one more out of this series. Mm-hmm. I have an email that I think is worth reading. All right, this first email is from Jacob. He says, as he agrees, this was definitely a slog to get through. The book could have been half the length had each character not felt compelled to summarize to one another what just happened in the previous scene. I know what just happened. I just read it. We agree, Jacob. And he says, I'm fairly certain Shatlart violated the majority of Ronald Knox's 10 Commandments of Detective Fiction written in 1929. So This is, I guess, a real thing. I did not bother to look at this, but so let's go through these and see how many of these this book or series violated. And these are, I assume that there's some sort of established thing. Like Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics. Isn't that the thing? Mm-hmm. Number 1, the criminal must be mentioned in the early part of the story, but must not be anyone whose thoughts the reader has been allowed to know. Didn't happen. Right? The twins were mentioned at least half of the way through the book. And I guess he was the villain.
Yes, I guess he's the villain,
I guess. Yeah. 2, all supernatural or preternatural agencies are ruled out as a matter of course. I guess sure, but you do have robots, so they can sort of do whatever.
Yeah, guns in their fingers and
sure.
Yeah, okay.
Not more than one secret passage or room is allowable. We did have secret tech layers, but it didn't really have. I don't know, not really. Okay. Number 4, no hitherto undiscovered poisons may be used, nor any appliance which will need a long scientific explanation at the end. Violated.
Even though most
that's
Kipling fiddled with.
2, no Chinaman must figure in the story. Jacob provides a note. This was written as a critique of the use of lazy, distasteful racial stereotypes. So a rule Shatlart violated with abandonment. Especially since we had what was the Chinese boy described as the end? Hefty.
Husky. Hefty or husky? I don't
Hefty,
know.
I think. But this racial stereotypes are Goulart's bread and butter.
Yes.
Number 6, no accident must ever help the detective, nor must he ever have an unaccountable intuition which proves to be right. Having a feeling about something. We have a woman with telepathy in this book. So the detective himself must not commit the crime. The detective is bound. Number 8, the detective is bound to declare any clues which he must discover. I don't even think he did any detectiving. He just sort of followed some stuff around. I don't know. Number 9, the sidekick of the detective, the Watson, must not conceal from the reader any thoughts which pass through his mind. His intelligence must be slightly, but very slightly below that of the average reader. I'd say that is true for Gomez.
For Gomez, yeah.
And number 10, twin brothers and doubles generally must not appear unless we have been duly prepared for them. They were twins. They weren't identical, but like brother. That's funny that was enough of a cliche at that point. I guess, throughout Shakespeare, that's that old, that cliche. Sure. So it's funny that he was like, enough with the twins, detective fiction writers of the 1920s. This is nonsense.
Wow.
And then this one's good, too. This is from John. He says, I wanted to tell the story of how my dad ended up communicating with Ron Goulart and receiving his newsletter for a number of years. I posted about this on Facebook a while back. I thought I'd provide a fuller story. My dad is one of the foremost collectors of memorabilia related to the Phantom comic strip character. There's a story right there.
Okay, yeah. You just say that and okay.
He was tracking down information regarding the authors of the Phantom Avon paperback books that were published in the 70s. And he gives a webpage where we can find more information about our research into this book. We can link to that. He discovered that one of the authors, Frank S. Shawn, was the pseudonym of Ron Goulart and reached out to him for more information about the books and, of course, to get his own books autographed. The two of them started a friendly correspondence, and as you'll see from one of the attached pictures, one of his signatures included a goofy caricature of Goulart in the Phantom's costume. I think maybe we can he said not to share the images. I'll share it to you. One of the perks of corresponding with him was receiving his weekly Ron Goulart's weekly newsletter, which really came out quarterly or whenever he feels like it's scheduled. We greatly enjoyed reading the weekly containing news about Goulart, but also humorous fake columns, reviews, stories, and crudely drawn comics. Whatever one may think of his tech war writing, this magazine was always highly entertaining, and we always got a good laugh out of it. It was a good excuse for Goulart just to be as silly as he wanted. And he sent us some images of that, but he said to not share them as well. But it's, I guess, by all accounts, Ron Goulart was a silly guy who, liked doing the type of things he did. But I don't know if that makes me, doesn't give him a license to write about Plaz and have me enjoy it. I'm sorry to say.
But, I can like a lot of people whose books I don't want to read. There's no problem. Those things are not related.
But it's pretty impressive that he was doing, he was writing the books about the Phantom as well. Yeah. That's one of those comics I always skipped over. I didn't read the serious comics.
I don't really know who the Phantom is.
The purple guy. He lived in like a big skull.
Grimace?
I sent you a picture. It does look like sort of look like Goulart's drawing of himself does look like his Grimace.
Oh yeah, got it. All right.
Fursuit or something.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap up with the final dumb sentences.
Dumb, 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 dumb sentence of the week.
All right, these are the dumb sentences of the week submitted by our beloved Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/372 pages. You get every episode early, too, so you can find out what's next before anybody else. This first one is from Nathan. He submitted, harsh wind came rushing in, too. And he says that is dumb because the previous sentence was about gunfire destroying plexiglass. So nothing else had really come rushing in. He also said the harsh wind is never mentioned again, just like countless characters. Mike submitted, considerable sooty smoke came swirling out after a moment. He said there's a word for smoke when it has a sooty quality. It's called soot. It's like saying that a penguin is a penguiny bird. Andrew just submitted Chihuahua.
Thank you.
Amanda submitted, Molly took a breath, brought a plyo chief up to her nose. She said that is her least favorite of the many terrible portmanteaus in the book. Not only is the meaning of this one not very obvious from the outset, but the pronunciation is very clunky. I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly any of the times I've said it either. Mark submitted. Mark, you'll remember, recommended Caleb's Dream to us. They tossed her in Dr. Stoker's setup, and I had to fake my way in. He said, this is the second time Dr. Stolzer is called Dr. Stoker.
Oh, whoa, no, I missed that totally.
He said, in fairness, the number of named characters makes copy editing a losing bet. He said we even read it in the final paragraph last time, which we didn't notice, even though we read it out loud. Wow. Jacob submitted, the mechanical man touched a green finger to his green forehead. Todd submitted the bright lit towers, the interlacing multi-level ped ramps and walkways, the sky cars and sky cabs floating by all appeared smudged. And he said, what caught my eye was Goulart totally whiffing, coming up with a pseudo-futuristic word for walkways to go along with bright ped lamps, sky cars and sky cabs. One could also mention making brightly lit into bright lit, or the abundance of commas, but that would be gilding the lily. Don't hold back on gilding the lily. Not with this guy. Cameron said, as I told you, he is where you said. That's like a Mobius strip of a sentence. Jay submitted, over his shoulder, Jake said, thanks, Maggie. He said, why? Because it's not only an incredibly abrupt ending to the book, it was also the last chance for Tumbled 2 to make an appearance, and it did not. Yes. 9 tech books, 8 with Tumbled 2, but not Tek Kill. That in itself is dumb. Colin submitted, a shatter gun roared outside. And he said that's the first and only mention of this thing in the penultimate chapter of the book, and I refuse to care what it is. Mike submitted, I know we're not supposed to do typos, but this is a major publisher and allegedly had an editor. And it said, oh, her dead old dad might be in cahoots with a tech lord or with somebody high up in Newtown Pharmaceuticals, he suggested. And I guess he's implying that it's dear old dad.
Oh.
Susan Grossman has psychic visions, but she doesn't communicate with the dead, at least not yet. Oh, yeah, her dad's not dead. He has a relationship with Juneanne Stackpoole.
Yes. Wow.
So,
I missed that. I saw that. I was like, that's a joke, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke, too.
Huh.
Scott submitted the wind caught Gomez and gave him an immense shove. And Scott is the one who said that maybe with the wind as an antagonist, perhaps this book takes place in the happening extended universe. without even lemon drink being involved. Craig submitted clowns cavorted on the walls of the small office, and he brings up, more significantly, that Gomez was dressed as a clown at the beginning of chapter 11, and at no time between then and chapter 35 did they ever indicate that he has changed out of the clown suit. It's like the raspberry beret Wade Watts wore in Ready Player 2, so we can only assume he's still wearing it after it's very specifically described as what he's wearing, so that every other character who interacts with Gomez doesn't say anything about it means it is a regular occurrence, nothing out of the ordinary in the Tek future Shatler and Goulart have envisions. Hayden submitted, he was in the process of stowing the still unconscious Avram Moyak in a large neowood crate labeled red hot peppers, and he submitted, it's not dumb in meaning, but why are the fonts this way? And red is in 11-point fonts in my documents, and hot peppers are in 9-point fonts. So it's
Mine too, yeah.
for emphasis. Maybe they took out chili and had to fill more space on it once the band raised a thing. Here's mine. It's just Goulartian. This damned wind makes it easy to sneak up on lunkheads and louts. That's what he's describing Roland as Roland is saying, you bitch, you thought I was dead, but now I'm going to kill you. Real lunkhead.
That guy's a real lunkhead. You lout.
Anything?
I just had one, and it was it's just a surprise word. I'll read it. They're asking him about Casey, Jake, and he says, avuncular maybe, not romantic. I assume avuncular doesn't come across here. I think I will point this out. I think I read that first when I was a kid I used to read H.L. Mencken. Speaking of Mencken, and he would just throw words out, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to look everyone up and keep a notebook so that I can learn words. And avuncular is one of those that doesn't really, all it means is like, you're more like an uncle than it means of uncle. So avuncular can mean like, sort of cheerful, not really,
right?
Nothing romantic. But it's like, in this context, why not like plasvuncular or something? Like pulling out a word like avuncular? I mean, most people don't. I haven't heard the word in...
No, it's like a SAT prep word, you'd say.
Avuncular. Like, yeah, I know it, but I don't want to... It's not something you'd use with someone like, I'm sorry, I'm just being avuncular. They'd be like, what the hell are you doing, man? I'm going to cut you. Like, no, you're right. You're right.
Whoa. That's
so anyway, that just kind of bugged me. That came out of nowhere. It's just like Goulart's like, I'm going to use this word... And the editor was like, I don't know, in this book with Plaz Chief and whatever.
It's either like a 1920s sports writer trying to describe, Babe Ruth or Olhaus Radborn, or it's a fake future word with Plaz or Laz added to it. So nothing in between. All right. Well, Tek Kill.
Thank you all for... slogging. I mean, it was only a couple readings. I mean, a couple being what? It was 4, right? Did we do 4?
Yeah, exactly. But there was a lot of time into it just because there was extra things beyond our control that went into it. So
yeah, sorry about that.
Don't apologize. But I'm eager to, move on to something a little less affected, I would say.
Yeah. Do we want to rank it?
Oh, sure. Let's do it. Let's see.
Do you have the full list? We can just do
so.
Up or down. We can do this quickly.
Better or worse then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the full list.
Okay, go ahead.
Want to go back through it or from the start?
It doesn't matter. I'll just rank them.
Bridge to Bat City.
Equal.
Yeah, it's about the same. Because Bridge to Bat City had the same sort of repetition, you know?
Yeah.
Caleb's Dream.
Worse than.
Wow. Worse than from the point of like discussing it?
I'm talking about enjoyment.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going to just say, my benchmark is enjoyment or just like joy of reading. Like,
okay. Yep. I would agree. Caleb's Dream better. Killer Christmas Affair, Sussie's mostly plagiarized story.
This is below that.
Yes, I agree. Adventures of the Teen Archaeologist, Land of the Mopek.
Far below that.
Yes, Tek Kill is below that. Starlight Barking. I put Tek Kill below that.
Yeah, I put it below.
Artemis. Oof. Oof. I don't know.
That's tough.
I mean, you got just... They're sort of the same sort of guy, you know? They're the guy who's like, you know, thinks they're funnier than they really are, thinks they're cleverer than they really are. I'd say worse. I'd say Artemis is worse than this just because that guy sold so many more copies and people still tell us that his other books aren't that bad.
Oh, yeah. Now that you say that, I'll agree with that. Okay.
Plus the like horny, like Jazz being like, I've got great boobs. Like that's just sort of like,
that was,
none of that in
was
this
gross.
book.
Yeah.
Edison's Conquest of Mars. This is worse than that, I'd say.
This is worse.
Yeah. Murder in Christmas River.
Oh, this is far worse than that.
Super Constitution.
Well, now we get to a complicated fork in the road.
Yeah.
Hard to say. That one was, in terms of enjoyment?
When it was good, it was really, really good. And when it was a manifesto,
when
it was...
it became bad. Oh, that's tough.
I think it's got... I put this above it. At least, you know...
It was much shorter and didn't have the weird... the weird political and sexual... okay, I'll put that above this. Above that.
Okay. Gump and Co.
Push.
Yeah, they're also pretty similar. Sequels, cash grabs, unlikable characters. Antigua.
Oh, this is way below Antigua.
Yeah. Irony Idsley.
I'd put this below that.
Sure.
Not very far, but yeah.
You know, a curiosity goes a long way, and this is far from a curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Tek Kill is not. It's pretty established what it is. Model Land.
Oof. I did not enjoy that one at all.
Model Land was
I'll say this one is better than Model Land.
800-pound gorilla of a book, just from its. It was 160,000 words, I think.
It was
so 3 times the length
huge.
Of this.
And then I didn't know the references she was making. That one was hard for me. I did not like that one.
It looks like we spent 9 episodes on it. That's insane.
God.
Quilters Push Back. This is clearly worse than that.
Clearly worse. Way worse.
Ready Player 2.
Ooh.
I find those books easier to read. They're enraging, of course, because of their success. But like these Goulart books are just harder for me to read.
I guess if again, my criteria was enjoyment. It kills me to say it, but I think this is below Ready Player 2.
Sure, hopping on here to yuck it up with you about Ready Player 2. At least there's, the books have rush in them, so there's a lot to dig into.
Yeah, that's what you have to. Yeah, okay.
Midnight Sun, speaking of 800-pound gorillas, that was an 8-episoder. I put this above that. I'll put Tek Kill above Midnight Sun.
I'll put it barely above it, but yes.
My Immortal, I'd rather read My Immortal.
My Immortal, I'd rather, yes.
Digital Fortress, I'd rather read Digital Fortress.
Yeah, that was more fun than this.
They're sort of the same, though, in that sort of tense, moving things along, like,
Trying, but Digital Fortress is a little better at it.
Right. Moon People, going for a 2-2-2 at Red Lobster.
Better.
Shadow Moon, way worse.
Oh, God. That was a slog. Yeah.
Lair of the White Worm, I might put on the same level as this. It's a little better because it's the authentically old-timey, I guess, but...
I might enjoy Lair of the White Worm a little more than you do. I'll give that a leg up on this one, just a little bit.
Trucking Through Time, obviously
way better.
The Mister.
I think we had more fun with The Mister than this.
Yeah, The Mister was, again, it was probably longer, but it didn't seem like it. Bob Honey, Who Just Do Stuff, still worse.
That's still at the bottom of everything.
It's time for a third one, Sean. It's been long enough. The Forensic Certified Public Accountant and the Cremated 64 Squares Financial Statements.
Such a curiosity and so weird and so short. I'm going to go with it. That was better than this.
Okay. Tech War, better.
Oh, way better.
The most direct comparison. The Eye of Argon, better.
Oh, that was way better.
And then Armada and Ready Player One.
I mean, more stuff to dig into, I think. This one just got so repetitive. Maybe I'd put this below a little bit. I don't know.
Maybe Armada, frame them that way. right. It's right, but better than Armada, less than Ready Player One. Armada was just such a. I mean, talk about at the end where they also did the cut ahead where we cured cancer and all other diseases too in one sentence. Like, so they're of similar ilk. All right.
Okay, there you go.
There's our ranking. Let us know if you disagree. And boy, man, we got to find something else that goes up there with trucking through time and such. Like
those are rarities. Those are jewels. But we'll look for them. We'll try to find that jewel, everyone.
We will track it down. Thanks, everybody. Thank you,
Thanks.
Patreon. Thanks, everybody.
So long.